You don't want none! You don't want none!
LB's Brick Squad, LB's Brick Squad!
Y'all boys ready?
Roll, boy!
You know!
Welcome to the Ray Sports Show, the college pregame show on the All Sports All Play Network. We're coming to you live here in Jacksonville, Florida, in the Ray Studios, in the home of the Tar Heels, who lost last night. We got to give it a hats off to Virginia Tech playing a great game of defense. Kept Carolina off balance on the defensive end. Sam Howell didn't look like a Heisman candidate like he was supposed to. But they also have a lot of pieces that are replacing. They didn't show up last night. The wide receivers suffered downs, and they took him away most of the time. Corey Simmons dropped a few passes. That was crucial. Virginia Tech missed a field goal, missed a touchdown out of bounds. That game wasn't even close. Virginia Tech handled it out. They couldn't handle the mistakes of in Lane Stadium and stuff like that. So North Carolina fell 17-10 in the final score. Number 10 ranked team in the nation. Didn't look like a number 10 ranked team in the nation. It's not an excuse, but North Carolina, you had to replace the 2,000-yard running backs and your two best wide receivers down with field threat. So that was not even crucial. None of the guys really stepped up in the game for Carolina. Got to hand your head off to Virginia Tech. They came up with a good game plan to possess the ball more, keep Carolina's big play offense off the field. They couldn't just get the drives in. They did play good in the second half. First half, they didn't play great. They tried to get back into the game. They were driving down, and then the forced turnover at the end was he should have just thrown the ball away and played for another down. So, I mean, North Carolina had a chance, but Virginia Tech showed why playing in Lane Stadium is tough. with that Sandman and Timid, the entrance and stuff like that. So, you got to give your hats off to Virginia Tech in that game. For Carolina fans, kind of hard to say, but we move on. One game's down, we get the rust off. So hopefully the next game will come out, we'll play better, improve as the season goes along. So Carolina fell 17-10. Virginia Tech beat them. So you gotta give your hats off to Virginia Tech. We got some breaking news here before we get started into the predictions of today's football game. The Big 12 conference has settled on 4 schools. It will be added to the league, and the process is moving fast and forward, becoming unofficial. This is broken by USA Today's news. I'm just reading some of the reports here on it. Give you a little bit of insights. Becoming official, a person briefed on the league's conversation told USA Today Sports. The person spoke on the condition of anonymity due to the sensitive nature, but the full schools are Brigham Young, Central Florida, Cincinnati, and Houston represents the most appealing options among the teams currently playing in a group of 5 conference. The Big 12 attempting to quickly rebuild aimed widespread uncertainty after losing Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC. The official addition of these 4 programs could occur within days. The person said BYU is a historic. This is why I think BYU should be in this conference. BYU is a historic and that are currently plays a football bowl subdivision independent. Last year, team won 11 games and competed for a spot in the New Year's 6 bowl slate of games connected with the college football playoffs. The remaining schools are dominant figures in the American Athletic Conference. Cincinnati reaches the New Year's 6 in 2020 as the top-ranked team from the group of 5. UCF and Houston also have reached the New Year's 6 bowl since the event of the playoff format. While BYU has a national appeal, the 3 additions from the American would push Big 12 into a large market in Ohio and Florida and gives the league a footnote back in the Houston market. So that's the breakdown of the big news today. Of the college football that was announced last night. I caught a little bit of it, snippets that they broke it on ESPN a little bit there during the Carolina game. So we're going to recap last night's game. I told you number 10 North Carolina goes down to Virginia Tech, lose 17-10, not even close. Howell was 228 yards passing. Chandler for North Carolina had 66 yards rushing, Downs 123 yards receiving. The game wasn't even close. If you take back the foot on the line from Virginia Tech's wide receiver, that would have been a touchdown 7, and this field goal there, that was 10 points off the board. It could have been a little bit worse for North Carolina, the final score, but North Carolina did have a chance at the end. But you got to give your hats off to Virginia Tech's defense. They played a masterful game, and the offensive coordinator called just enough to get them the victory and held the ball. In time possession was not even close. Virginia Tech held the ball a lot more than North Carolina and kept Howell off the thing. Now, the thing that kept the continuity of North Carolina off balance with that defense. And I mean, that defense was all over the place. I mean, there were corners that were playing like NFL corners. The NFL throws a very narrow window, and you got to get your hats off to Virginia Tech. They played a hell of a game in front of their fans. COVID last year, the fans couldn't see them play. A year now, you get the fans back in. That crowd was electrifying. Sandman entrance. You gotta tap your hats off to that entrance of Virginia Tech. It's very intimidating. Lights up, phone lights all over around the stadium. It's very intimidating. North Carolina State's in Wayne Stadium. It's always been. It's one of the toughest places for Carolina to play, and it's proved that point last night. So you got to understand North Carolina had a chance, but really didn't have a chance. So you got to break it down to Virginia Tech's defensive coordinator and their offensive coordinator possessing the ball more, keeping Carolina off the thing, and keeping that offense not. That offense is more of North Carolina. It's more of a timing thing. The more times they're on the field, the better they get during the game. If you keep them off the field, you keep them off balance, and that's what Virginia Tech did. Hats off to Virginia Tech on that game. Last night, Duke loses to Charlotte. First win for Charlotte, the 49ers, over a Power 5 team. Charlotte 31, Duke 28. But you got to get your hats off to Duke running back. Durant with 255 yards, and Reynolds for Charlotte throws for 324 yards, and you have Vernon Tucker with 133 yards reception. You got to get your hats off to Charlotte on that victory there. That was a good game. There was back and forth, close game. Wake Forest dominated on Dominion, 42-10. Right now, uh, Hartman with 188 yards. Zill Bedman Smith with 74. A.T. Perry with 81. St. Francis, PA, Eastern Michigan, 35. St. Francis, 15. Bryant with 126 yards passing. Boone, 107 yards rushing, and 117 yards for Summers. South Dakota at Kansas was also a good game. Kansas did pull it out, 17-14. Jay Bean, 163 yards passing. Thias, 96. Fairchild, 58. So I mean, it's just big power, good football game. The game that I was besides the North Carolina game was interesting to me was the Michigan State Northwestern game. I just want to see how Northwestern come back from last year, winning that division in the West of the Big Ten, the Big Ten Clash against Michigan State. How Michigan State improved from last year. Michigan State won 38-21, not even a close game. Johnson with 275 yards passing. Walker the second, 264 yards, and Cates with 80 yards as a leading receiver. North Dakota, Northern Colorado, and Colorado. Colorado won 35-7. McCaffrey with 236 yards for Northern Colorado. Bazard 94 and Woods 88. South Dakota State 42 over Colorado State. I told you this game was one of the games I picked. I won this game. I told you South Dakota State was going to come in there and be a better team than what a team was expected against Colorado State, and they did. Centennial with 304 yards, Strong Jr. 134, McBride 116, and that was your Friday night recap of football scores. So we're going to go right into this is the Ray Sports Show, the college pregame show. We're leading you all the way up to college kickoff at 12 o'clock today. We got a lot of games in here. We got a total of 58 games going to be played today in college football. 58 games. I don't know. We will get through most of these 58 games. We don't know how long we can get. We got a 3-hour show. This is going to be a round fast segment. If we get more games into, we can get more games into. But I picked some of the key matchup games, and we're going to go through some of the stuff. We got some of the big schools. We got some of the small schools. We got some of the big schools playing to some of the small schools today, and how will they stack up? What is going to be the key of the game? So we're going to get into this take here in a few minutes here, and we're going to break it all down. So we didn't particularly order these games here. The way I set up these games, I set up to where I want to go from small to big, or some big schools playing some small schools, all the way up to the prime time games that are going to be a key matchup games. And we got ranked teams. We got a lot of ranked teams versus a lot of ranked teams to go through here today too. So, and the big one is going to be the Clemson fans and the Georgia fans, Alabama fans, Miami Hurricanes fans. We got Penn State fans in here. We got Texas fans. We want to know if y'all want to know if I picked you games. We'll bring it into it. It's going to keep it a little bit of surprise. We'll keep this a little bit of a flow game here. We got to thanks to Fox D Network. We're live there on this thing for Saturdays. This is the Ray Sports Show, college football pregame show. This is a all-the-time Saturday. This is going to be from college football all the way through college sports. This is going to be nothing but college sports pregame shows here on the ASAP, on the All Sports All Play Network and the Fox D. I'm coming to you live from Jacksonville, Florida, and we're going to get right into these first games here. I want to discuss who would be the first one to be to talk about. And it's going to be a surprise here. We are ready. Drum roll. What game will be the first game we talk about here today? And we're going to be bringing it up here momentarily here. Yes. The first game on the top we're going to be talking about be the Washington Football Huskies. The Washington Football Huskies They come in at number 20 ranked team in the nation. They play in Montana, and this game is at 8 o'clock on the Pac-12 network. And this game will be played in Husky Stadium. What we can talk about here? How they going to see the Washington football opens up the 21 season tonight against NCAA Division One football championship series team Montana. The kickoff is 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern time, 7 o'clock Central time. Get ready for this game. If you're a Washington Husky, we gotta get you out of here first. Gotta get you live and pumped up. So what we take from this game, the Huskies are 96, 28, 5 in home openers, whether the first game of the season or not. A percentage of .764. Washington did not play a home game in 1890 or 1893 season. That includes 28 game streak of home opener wins that ran from 1908 to 1935 before falling to Air Force in 1999 home opener. That's a little bit of history we're going to talk about there. These home openers for them. Washington had a 13 stretch game since have fallen to Oklahoma State on September 7, 1985. The Huskies have won 11 home openers in a row, dating back to a loss to number 11 LSU in 2009. So how will this game fare? Here? This game is on the Pac-12 network. We got a little bit of notes here. This game can be heard if you're in Alaska. This game can be heard in Alaska on the Juneau KJNO 6:30 a.m. And so they go all the way into Alaska here for this college football game up in Washington. They're kind of close. Washington is 17-1 all time against Montana. That's a little bit of history right there. The Huskies and the Grizzlies had gone more than a half a century without playing one other before they met on a week 2 of the 2017 season. On occasion, the Huskies are coming off of the Pac-12 championship and a berth in the college playoff. Previous year had the opening the season week early with a 30-14 win at Rutgers. Washington scored multiple touchdowns in the fourth quarter and won 63-7. The quarterback, Jake Bowen, back then is so a little bit of history there coming in the game. This game is going to be very competitive, not very competitive. I think Washington is going to destroy this team. Montana is kind of overmatched with a big Power Five team, and the Power Five in the Pac-12. Even though it's a Pac-12 school, I think Washington is going to destroy this team. I think it's not going to be close. I think it's going to be 45-3. Washington over the Montana. So you got a little bit of history there on that game. So we took care of that game. So we're gonna move right along here in the next game. Who will be the next game that we pick in this game? Hey, let's go all the way down to where I'm at here in Florida. Let's go to the swamp in Gainesville, Florida, for the Florida Gators, and without Kyle Trask. Starting quarterback last year, they missing Kyle Trask. What would Dan Mullen do at quarterback? What will Florida do? Is this going to be a down year for Mullen, or has Florida recruited enough to keep it going and trying to be another back and build that powerhouse back that it used to be when they had Tebow and all of them at Florida and Urban Myers, and they've been through some transition coaches, and now we got Dan Mullen, who did pretty good last year, but he had Kyle Trask. This is the year that Mullen now has a Mullen guy at quarterback that he recruited. Florida is set up to return to the swamp with a full set of fans for the first time in more than a year. So every team in the pandemic here is going to come with their fans back for the first time in a year. Florida is big on capacity crowd. They gain the swamp. We know the steep by the swamp. We know the crowd's going to be there. Full floods. They play in-state Florida Atlantic on Saturday night for the season opener. The Gators are now going on into a 4-year under coach Dan Mullen, has reached the SEC title game a year ago and comes up just short against the Crimson Tides. But there won't be a ton of time to iron out key issues this fall before that. Some of the Crimson Tides rolls into town in week 3 So week 3, that's got a big contest against Alabama when they roll into Gainesville. Can they turn this season around here? Would this be a this team will look some of these teams because they know that week 3 they have Alabama coming in. So that's going to be a key. Florida Atlantic brings it back a lot of underclassmen from last year's team and has been active in adding some players to the NCAA transfer portals. They're trying to get these recruits to come in to Florida Atlantic, trying to make a Florida Atlantic team a powerhouse team in Florida, try to compete with the Miami's, the Florida State, the Florida, UCLF, South Florida's here. You know, so Florida International. So they're trying to become one of these Florida powerhouse teams. So they have some attractive looks down in Florida Atlantic, a beautiful campus down south. NCAA transfer portal can help teams like Florida Atlantic, can help teams smaller schools. So we're looking at a lot of transfers won't playing time. These schools can give them playing time. They can't get playing time at the big school, so they can try these small schools and get a lot of playing time and try to get their stocks up and go into the NFL. So I don't blame these transfer portal guys. They want everybody wants playing time. It's not enough spots for everybody to get playing time. Sometimes you're at a school, you're about third or fourth string, but you should be you think you should be the top string. So you get what you do. You get in the transfer portal and you go to these schools like Florida Atlantic, UCF, um, like the Montanas, just to get playing time and see how your skills develop and see if you can get that mystique going into the NFL. So we're going to continue on here. Emory Jones will be making his first start of his career for Florida. Can we see Florida pull away? I I think Florida's going to overmatch Florida Land because of the talent pool. Emory Jones, we know his sustained as a running quarterback. Can he throw the ball? That's going to be a key for Florida this year. Without Kyle Trask, Kyle Trask was the passer. He wasn't really that mobile. He did run a little bit, but Emory Jones is a little bit more mobile than Kyle Trask. But Kyle Trask was a better thrower than Emory Jones. Can Emory Jones have improved his ability to throw the ball downfield? That's going to be a big key. If I was Florida Lang, I'll put 8 men in the box, stop the running game, and force Emory Jones to beat me with his arm. That's going to be the big key. You have to contain Emory Jones. Emory Jones is that slippery running quarterback type deal. So if you come up in the field and you're not in your lanes or you're not in your progressions to hold Emory Jones in that pocket, Emory Jones is gonna be running you over. You know, you trying to stop him and stuff like that. So if he breaks that containment, Emory Jones has got speed to breakaway speed. He can get into that end zone. So you want to make him a pocket passer. You want him to stay in there. You don't want him to beat you with your legs. You want him to beat with your arms and see if he can beat you with the arms there. Florida finally gets a chance to finally play competition after a long season. This game will all be about the Gators. The Owls are pretty good on defense a year ago. So Florida offense will be somewhat attested, somewhat attested here. Like I said, Florida's offense is going to be a little bit limited what they could do from like they had last year. They had Kyle Pitts at that tight end, who was a beast at the tight end spot. You had Kyle Trask, who was great at quarterback for Florida last year. That's some key pieces, man. And Tony, he's now in Giants camp. That's another big time play wide receiver. They ran trick plays for him because he can play quarterback too. So I mean, you got a lot of elements that are gone from this Florida team. But how well will Florida Atlantic be able to play Florida in this ballgame? That's going to be a key of this matchup. Florida has considerably more talent than Florida Atlantic, which he should because Florida is a Power 5 school, SEC school. So people that's a mistake. People like to go to these powerhouse teams and try to get on these rosters and be, because you get a better look at the NFL level. So you got to look. So you got to look at what you're doing here today. That has a making a frustrating starting the game. Even if Florida Atlantic offense isn't good enough, regularly tested a Florida defense out to prove itself this fall. Some of the keys like way upper and lower scoring affairs, Florida will be in control throughout, with the only real risk is an ultimate turnover in an opportune time. And that's what Florida's got to do. They can't turn the ball over at opportune time. these games are like a stepping stone getting to that week 3 game out against Alabama. You don't want to overlook these opponents because sometimes these opponents can derail your season a little bit here because you got a small tier team that you're playing. So you got to be careful here, with you on your opening here. Um, so what we ultimately expect here? Some of the people are expecting a 40-13 score of Florida. I don't know if it's going to be. I think more realistic. We're probably looking at probably. I'll say Florida was probably score about 28 points. I think Florida Atlantic could get 14 or even 21. I think this could be a close game than most people expected. But if Emory Jones does what I think he can do, if he's a better passer and runs with his legs, they're going to be double trouble here for the Gators against Florida Atlantic. So I could see the score be a rise up about in the 40s to 42. But I'm going to go out and say the final score is going to probably be 35-10 Florida in this ball game. So you got a lot of instincts, you got a lot of dynamics that you got to figure out here in this ball game. That if Emory Jones can run the ball and pass the ball to his receivers, Florida Atlantic's going to be in trouble early and often. But if Emory Jones struggles in the passing game and Florida Atlantic can keep them in attack and the running attack, then we could see this game a little bit more closer than what we anticipated in this ball game. So I have it right now. I said it would probably be. I'm unrealistic. I'm going with my final pick right here. Florida 35. Florida A&M 14. I think they can at least get 14 on these Gators defense. So, where we gonna go next? Where do y'all want me to go next? That's the key. Where are we gonna go next here in this game day? Where are we gonna go next here? Where are we gonna go next? Ooh, I'm picking and I'm looking. I want to see where we're gonna go next here. Where are we gonna go next? Here we go. The next game on the tacket will be Iowa State versus Northern Iowa. The battles of the Iowans. The most anticipated Iowa State football season program in history is almost here. Iowa State will begin play here today, in the 2021 campaign stadium, Northern Iowa at the Jack Trice Stadium. The game comes 245 days after Iowa win over Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl, which marks the end of Iowa's historic 2020 campaign. They had a historic season. Cyclones entered the season ranked number 7 nationally in the AP Top 25. Northern Iowa, on the other hand, is coming off a spring season in which the Panthers went 3-4. Northern Iowa enters the game ranked number 21 in the preseason FCS Championship Bowl. FCS is another name. The College Football Championship Series is the name of the Division II NCAA team. They did away with that. They made it. We have the full football subdivision, which is the upper tier. The Football Championship Series, which is your Division II level of the NCAA, and your lower tier school, which Northern Iowa is. And what does this affect here? Because Northern Iowa just came off a spring season. Their season was from February to May. So they had rest of May 16th, I believe, was the last game of their season this year. So you had the rest of May, half of May, June, July. Boom, you're right back in the contest here in September. So you're about 3 or 4 months off, but you don't have much as rust as a whole year as the Iowa State Cyclones. So, they're going to enter this unsettled with the depth chart, according to Matt Campbell. The starting offensive line will be determined based on the players who have the best practices on Wednesdays and Thursdays. In total, Iowa State has seven players: Sean Foster, Derek Swagner, Colin Newell, Daryl Simmons, Jack Rensbutt, and Joey Ramos and Trevor Downey. So they're in a little bit of fluctuate in their offensive line. Some of these reports are saying here. So, can they get the continuity of their offensive line? That's going to be the key. Can we get some continuity on that offensive line for Iowa State this year? Matt Campbell is uncertain, so they're going to go day by day here, which comes out who has a better practice Wednesdays and Thursdays leading up to your Saturday game. That's kind of unsettling for your quarterback, your starting quarterback there. Villanova graduate transfer, Jocko Amos and King. Additionally, Campbell has not named to be who is the kick and punt returner will be, and the starting place kicker has not been named. So there's some uncertainty in the kicking game too. So if this game comes down to, I don't think it's going to come down to bull of a field goal, but it can be, some nerve wracking. We don't know the offensive line situation. We don't know the kicking situation. We don't know what's going on with the kicking game or the returning game here. So you got to understand this game is at 3:30 Central Time, which would be 4:30 Eastern Time, and it will be 5:30. It'll be 1:30 Pacific Time. It's a Mid-American Injury Field at Jack Trice Stadium in Ames, Iowa. This game will be on ESPN Plus. You catch on the Cyclone radios and stuff like that. So, you got some unsettling situation here for Iowa State. Let me bring up their roster here. We break it a little bit down, a little bit further here. Their roster for the 2021 season here. Let's get here the Cyclone player for 2021 season. Let's see here. Where is this? I'm trying to get their page up right now. Let's see here. Let's break this a little bit more down here. We're looking at here, they're going to start this game here. They opened up the kick must watch moment. Doesn't matter if Iowa State is starting the season with a kickoff or a kickoff return. I will be watching whatever it takes to field at a pivotal sport. Andrew Mevius, who kicked a touchback 79% of the time while at Fordham in 2019, or does Drake Nettles take care of the kickoff duties? So, like I said, the kicking game's in flux, and Iowa State's where to field the opening kick. Who is in the back there to receive? Matt Campbell talks about briefly on Tuesday. Bryce Hall from Xavier Hutchinson and Noel, the kick returner. We all know who's going to be there. We're talking about the offensive line. What kind of matchup will we see McDonald look at Trevor Penning? The matchup will feature two players who have landed on Bruce Philman's college football freak list. Trevor Penning will serve as a good test for Will McDonald as he transitions into a bigger role this season. The Panthers are arguably better than some of the tackles Iowa State will face over the remainder of the schedule. Although McDaniel and Penning won't line up against each other on every play, I expect we'll see them go head to head plenty of times. Is also keeps an eye on the McDonald and is in the game. With this, Brock Purdy did not have a smooth start to his junior season at this time last year. At this end of the last season, Purdy and his wideouts hinted at the fact that a lack of the normal offensive hindered ability to establish solid connections. But after a full season with spring practice and fall camp, the seniors will look to hit the ground running. He said will likely be his last season in Ames. Overall, Purdy's level of play will play a huge part in dedicating where Iowa State ends up in the season with their offensive line, tight ends, and running backs course. The Cyclones should be able to run the ball with success against this. Just about everyone with Purdy is sharp to start the year. Iowa State is able to get off a good start. Possibly with Iowa State setting up a winning record and pushing for a college playoff spot and every more real. What what do we expect here for this game here? Iowa State is building a sizable lead, which is I fully expect. Last season, Iowa State didn't have multiple non-conference games to give younger players some game experience. So it is being interesting to see what point of the staff decided to put this, the second string players to get him more experience for the preference of Iowa State blowing out wins over like Kansas State. Last season, Hunter Derricks came in and started of the fourth quarter where Iowa State was leading 38-0. Does Iowa State wait that long on Saturday if it's a similar situation, or does the staff pull the likes of Purdy and Hall and Rose early to migrate any chance of injuries? Additionally, it will be interesting to see which player takes the field for Iowa State to put in its second string. If fair assumes the likes of Derricks, TJ Tampa, Easton Dean, and Jalen Noel will get some of the run late on, but who else does the staff want to get an extra look at? This game could serve the opportunity for Iowa State to get a true freshman like Buer Fryer, Miles Purchase, Deion Saladas, Tyler Moore, and Howard Brown on the field, as they can play in 4 games and still earn that red shirt sustained. So that's that NCAA rule. They can play in 4 games. You play in 5 games, you lose your red shirt. That rule was innovated last year. So that gives teams chances to look at their younger guys against a non-solid team in this thing. That's where they're assuming that Cyclone's going to blow this team out, and so they can get extra looks at some of their future players on these fields. As long as they keep them under that 5 games, they still earn that red shirt extent here. So, Matt Campbell always hit it about the healthier the team entering fall camp, but it's not uncertain for some players to be picked up. Injuries get banged up during fall camp. We have some answers into former questions, so they got a little bit of key injuries here. We got to watch out for that too. Yeah, but I think Iowa State is going to run Northern Iowa out of the building, out of the stadium today. It's not going to be in close. 45-3 is the score for this game. So, let's go. We're going to hit some commercials right now here. We had the 37-minute mark of the first hour of the Ray Sports College pregame show. We wanted our network to get some commercials in here. Our Fox D network. We on the All Sports Play network. This is the All Sports Play. Hit us up on our Facebook. Hit us up on our YouTube channel. It's all strolling down at the bottom here. Hit us up on our Twitch. If you like that Facebook page, it doesn't take it simple. Just go over to that YouTube page and like that too. So it helps us, build our following on our YouTube pages. So we're going to be right back after these commercial breaks from the Fox D Sports Network and the All Sports All Play Network.
This is the Fox D Streaming Network. Register to come on our channel at foxdnetwork.com.
Welcome back to the Ray Sports Show, coming to you live from Jacksonville, Florida, on the All Sports All Play Network and the Fox D Network. So we're getting you started here on this college football day. We talked about the Iowa State Northern Hour game. We talked about the Washington Huskies versus Montana game. We talked about the Florida Gators versus the Florida Atlantic game. So now what we're going to go on to, who's going to be the next one on our ticker here? Who we want to see? You can give me a comment on, if you're on our Facebook, but give us a comment. I'll bring it up here and we can move from there. But right now, I want to go in. We're looking at some of the good games coming here. So I want to go up and bring up another game here. Who will be our next game on the ticker here? That's going to be the question. Who will be our next game on my ticker? Oh, who I'm looking at on the next ticker here? We go from big to small. We go from all over. And we're going to go into the Mountain West. We're going to take a look at Montana State versus Wyoming game here on the Ray Sports Show on the All Play All Sports Network and the Fox D. Here's the college pregame show. We're taking you all. We have to kick off. This is a 3-hour show. We're only 40 minutes into the show here. We have taken 3. Now we're on our 4th game of this 58 game contest today. It's high packed offense. We got ranked teams versus ranked teams. We got small schools versus small schools, and this is one of them right here. We're gonna go into, and you don't hear all this like on the other pregame shows on the other networks here. They always go from the big to tall. We go all over the place. We mix it up here. You don't know what game is going to come up on this show here. Let's set the stage for this ball game. This game in Wyoming is going to be week 1 versus the Wyoming Cowboys versus the Montana State Bobcats Saturday today at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 4 Eastern Time, and 5 and 3 Central Time for this game. This game will be played at the War Memorial Stadium in Laramie, Wyoming. Let's set the stage here. You got to look at some of the disappointing season, 2020 season, because of the pandemic or whatever. Wyoming opens up the season against Montana State, comes to the War Memorial Stadium for the first live action since 2019 season. Montana finished 11-4 and made it to the FCS national semifinals, following to North Dakota State. The Bobcats also lost their only game against an FBS team in 2019, playing their only such game against Texas Tech. In that game, Montana State gave up 691 total yards, including 436 yards through the air, 255 yards on the ground. On the offense 2 years ago, the Bobcats averaged 258 yards per game on the ground, 168 yards per game through the air, 33 points per game, while holding their opponents to 22 points per game on average. They returned many offensive weapons, including running back Isaiah Ifans. However, incoming starting quarterback Kentucky Rovin has been surpassed on the defensive chart by North Carolina State transfer Matthew McKay, a decision driven by a new head coach, Brent Vigen, who was the Wyoming offensive coordinator from 2014 to 2020. So that's going to be a good thing. You got your former offensive coordinator coming back to play in Wyoming, who was their offensive coordinator last year. So that's going to be a good, interesting key. You have the offensive coordinator versus the teacher. You have the teacher versus the student. Basically, which one are going to be coming out of here with the thing. Centrally, both sides of the line of scrimmage. They want to control both sides of the line of scrimmage. That's going to be one key for victory for Wyoming. This is some keys for Wyoming. Even when Josh Allen was the starting quarterback with the Cowboys, ran the ball 60% of the time. I expect this game to have similar splits for the Cowboys, with 60% of the offense play being rush. So, the Cowboys are a big, heavy rush team. So can they establish that running game? That's going to be a key. They have to establish the running game. Wyoming is at one of those type of pass, play action type teams. They like to run, boom, play action pass. So if you can control that running game, you control the play action pass. You control most of their offense. 60% of their offense comes from the running game. So if you can control the running game, you can control Wyoming's offense and hope you get a chance here. But the Cowboys defense also returns a considerable talent, including linebacker Chad Munya and defensive end Solomon Byrd. Wyoming has ranked in the top 20 the past 2 years against the run, ranking 6th in the nation in 2019 by allowing fewer than 100 yards per game on the ground. Look for Byrd to make his presence felt in his first game back after opting out last year. He opted out last year because of the pandemic. Some people get mad at, don't understand that, but I can simply understand he wants to make sure his health and stuff like that. So, health does come first, foremost over sports. You want to take care of your body, you want to take care of your health, you want to take care, the risk of not getting COVID-19. And I understand that very well, but he's going to come back. He's going to be furious. He didn't play last year. So that's going to be a wild factor there. He's going to probably be all over the field. He want to make his return felt. So, you want, like I said, Wyoming is a play action pass team. They have to establish the running game first. If they can get that running game established, then that's gonna open up that play action game. The key when being run at first team, you have to establish that run. You have to run. If you get 2-3 yards, you got to keep running. Then you can put that play action pass because the team is going to be more acceptable playing that 8-man box. Then all of a sudden you put that play action, everybody bites on it, boom, you're down the field. You can break that fast touchdown and stuff like that. The Cowboys will have to eliminate two things from last year. They were a turnover team, and they had a lot of penalties. They have to clean those up. Those are the keys to keep clean up. Wyoming has to clean that up. Has to clean up the limited turnovers. Have to clean up the penalties. They have to clean up, a lot of stuff. They were 27th in the country last year, but they only committed 5 penalties per game. As far as turnovers go, Wyoming gave up the ball 1.5 per game with a positive 0.2 turnovers margin per game. There isn't a lot of complaints about the turnover front, but the turnovers can derail a game, and that's the key. When you turn the ball over in insignificant moments, let's take you back to the North Carolina game. We understand that the game was out of reach, really, basically, because the two one missed field goal and the one touchdown on the line, took off 10 points off the scoreboard. But you can't default that because they had the opportunity to kick and had the opportunity to make it. They didn't make the plays, but they left the door open for Carolina. But Carolina still struggled at the end, throwing that key turnover, that key impromptu turnover. Wyoming has to stay away from that. Wyoming has to stay away from the key. If you're driving, you're all down in the end zone, and then boom, all of a sudden you throw an interception at the goal line. You're taking points off the board. You took at least 3 points off the board by committing them turnovers. That's an into prop team turnover that you don't want to commit. If you're downfield and you're trying to go down the field and you're on the other side and you turn the ball over, yeah, that stops the drive, stops some key moments of the play, but it's not an impromptu turnover. The impromptu turnovers are the ones that you're in the 20 in the range of getting points, and that's what Wyoming has to avoid. If Wyoming does not avoid that and they can turn the ball over, which I think they can avoid because they're playing a lower tier team in the Bobcats in Montana State. So, they're good in the FCS, but they're playing the FBS opponent. Even though they're playing Wyoming, we don't expect them a powerhouse team, but there are the FBS. They've got better talent than Montana State. That's the key of these games and stuff like that. So you're looking at what the controls here. You got to control that linebacker Munn, and you got to control the defensive end Simon Bird. If you don't control those two on the defense, Montana State is going to have a long day ahead of them. And if Wyoming gets the running game going, then Montana can forget about it. This is going to be a bar burner here. Two things: they got to establish the play action. They got to establish the run game. They got to establish that play action passing. Wyoming thrown for 136.2 yards per game. Head coach Greg Burrell and the new offensive coordinator Tim Perez have promised to revamp the Cowboys offense this year to improve their passing game. That's going to be the key. That passing game has to improve. The running game we know about. The passing game has to improve in line with that running game. If you can play action pass and you start missing wide open wide receivers, that's some key misses, and you're going to get some key, turnovers by overthrowing too. And, like tip balls and stuff like that. Sometimes you can't blame the quarterback on low throw. You got the guys get their hands up and get the interception or the deflection. That's going to be the plays that Montana State has to get, because if they get these deflection, interception, get the turnover, get their offense on the field, But if Wyoming controls the ball, controls the clock with the running game, and then hit few play action pass, then Wyoming will destroy this team. So I think today's game is going to be 28-0. I don't even think that Montana State probably even try to score on this team. If Solomon Byrd, that's the good question. If Solomon Byrd is back to his original self from the 2019 season, he didn't play last year because of the pandemic. So his motor's going to be on electric. His adrenaline is going to be rushing because this is going to be his first game back after missing a whole year of non-action contact. So, but it also gives his body a little bit of time. So I hope he's been working out stuff. So the keys for Wyoming: limit the penalties, limit the turnovers, establish your running game, and hit your open receivers on your play action pass. For that right there, most experts see it 41, Wyoming 41, Montana State 10. I kind of see it 41-0 because Simon Byrd, if he gets his way today, this is going to be a very, 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 very outspoken game. The team that dominates the line of scrimmage will win the game, and Wyoming has the talent and should have the discipline to do it. Xavier Valley will get his, but the star of the game will be Chalmers, who will shine in both the passing and the running game. So Chalmers, we got to look out for that. So that's some of the key here for that Wyoming game here today. So where are we going to go next? Where are we going to go next here? We have gone big, we have gone small, we have gone big and small. So where are we going to go here for this next contest here? I'm kind of looking here at what I wanted to talk about. Stuff. The big matchups are coming later on in the show. We're with 51 minutes of this first hour here coming up. We're moving up into another commercial break at the top of the hour. I'm trying to keep the commercial breaks at the top and bottom of the hours, segments and stuff like that. So we don't have too many commercials here on the All Sports Play Network. This is the Ray Sports Show, the college pregame show, the premier college pregame show here. Like I said, you need to hit us up with some of your tailgate pictures. We haven't got no pictures in yet. My email address is RaySports, RaySportsShow @gmail.com. You can send them there. You can send them on the Facebook page on the All Sports All Play Network. I do have the Facebook page up. Just in case somebody does send their tailgating pictures. I like to see, I like to see some of the tailgating pictures. I like to see what y'all's game face looks like in game day. Got to get it pumped up. This is college football is back. We're in the first week of college football. We had last week we had the Saturday games. We had the Wednesday night game. We had the Thursday night game. We had the Friday night game. And now we got the Saturday game. 58 of them. We got a Sunday game. One game Sunday, one game Monday. We got Monday Night Football. It's college-style Monday Night Football coming up, So, we're getting this college football season started out. We're getting it all ready for you. We're getting you pumped up. Pumped up. Got to get it physical, baby. Got to get it physical here. That's the thing we want here. We want continuity. We want to go big. We want to go small. We want to do everything. We want to get it right here. We got 58 games to choose from. We can't get to all 58 here today, but we can get to some. We got a lot of in-depth and the big matchups later on in the hour here. Where are we going to go next here? Where do y'all want to go next? That's the question. Where are we going to go next? Do we want to go to Central Michigan football versus Missouri game? Do we want to go to Mississippi State versus Louisiana Tech game? How about the Mississippi State versus Louisiana, the Louisiana Tech game? How about the Hatfield-McCoy? Let's go. I know where we're going. We want to talk about the Hatfield-McCoy game. This is the game I'm talking about right here. This is the game I'm talking about right here. We call it the Hatfield-McCoy game. The Maryland versus West Virginia. A top 5 keys for the Terps winning today. Can they win? Can West Virginia win? This is the Hatfield-McCoy. These teams don't like each other from the get-go. Maryland football renews a heated traditional border rivalry as its hosts West Virginia on Saturday at 3:30 Eastern Time. 3:30 Eastern Time with fans and students are back in the stadium for the first time in 2 years because of COVID-19. The Terps are looking to bounce back after a abbreviated 5 games 2020 season, while the Mountaineers are once again looking to reach a bowl game. 5 keys for this matchup: play disciplined football. They got to play disciplined football. Head coach Mike Locksley has emphasized the importance of playing discipline after the team was plagued with penalties and other self-inflicted wounds last season. In a abbreviated 2020 season, Maryland averaged 79.6 penalty yards per game. They have to clean that up. They got to clean that up against West Virginia. Hatfields and McCoys, backfield barn burner rivalries. These fans don't like each other. The team don't like each other. We might see fights in the stands. We might see fights on the field. This game is going to be prisky right here. This game is for the marble. Can the Terps discipline football? Discipline. No penalties. Subsides at 79.6 yards. Penalties that hurt teams. Penalties will stop a drive in the field. If you get that first penalty and you go back up, say you get a holding pen, you back up 10 yards on first down, you go on from first and 10 to first and 20. And you got to make up 20 yards. And sometimes you don't have playbooks to run that if you can't be effective. So penalties will hurt teams more, and turnovers will hurt teams. The worst momentum killers ever is a penalty. You get a drive going, and next thing you know, you get a penalty. Or you get that impromptu turnover, or you get a sack fumble. You stopping your own self on team, not the defense really stopping. You're stopping yourself because you're committing these silly mental penalties. You got to be mental minded. False starts is nothing but a mental thing. You got to know the snap count. They tell you the snap count. You got to know the snap count, and you got to fire off the ball because you know the snap count. If the defense is firing off the ball before the offensive guy, then that's a problem, because your offense has got advantage. Your offensive line's got advantage because they know when that ball is going to be high. The defense has to watch the ball to be moved. So if you don't get off the ball quick enough, and sometimes you're playing at home, the crowd's not going to be really effective on the offense. So the offensive player shouldn't be false starting. It should be the other team's offensive false starting. But it's also about the mentality. Discipline. You got to be disciplined. You got to be mental tough. And we're playing these hot summer games right now up north. Cramps and all that's going to be affected. You're going to see a little bit of injuries. A little bit of teams cramping up. It's understandable. Your body's getting used to playing. You're playing these practices leading up to the game. So you got to be mental. Mountaineers throughout the season, they only need to cut down on pre and post-snap penalties. That's what I was talking about, pre- and post-snap penalties. Your pre-penalties is your false start, offsides. Your post penalties are your personal fouls, attitudes, getting involved, fighting, getting involved. You're not out there, late hits on somebody. That's your post penalty. That is your post penalty that can hurt teams too, along with the turnovers. Your pre-snap penalties are killers for your offense because you false start. That's 5-yard penalties. You start on a 5-yard hole. Or if you get 5 yards, you go move back to the 5 yards you just got because you did something wrong. That's the thing they got to do. Discipline for both football teams is going to be a key in this game. Who can hold their emotion? What team is going to allow their emotion get too much in the way and start committing these penalties that could really hurt your team? That's going to be a key right here for Maryland and West Virginia. Many of last season penalties might be attributed to youth, but this year's team has a wealth of experience on both sides of the ball. The Terps are returning 86 and 85% of their production on offense and defense, respectively. Saturday afternoon will provide a good barometer of whether Maryland will be more disciplined team during the 2021 season. The key here, stop the run. While Maryland's defense was made substantial progress last season, the one area in which the defense struggled was stopping the running game. You got to stop teams' running game because that running game gets started. They will be susceptible to play action pass. They will be susceptible trying to not, concentrating on one thing, stopping the run. That opens up the passing game. It opens up the tree, the seven game passing tree. I call that the 7-game passing tree because you're taking the defense out of it. You're putting your linebackers on islands against running backs and coming out of the backfield. So you got your 7-on-7 passing tree. You stop the run. That's the key. You have to stop that run initially because that run would be more acceptable because more eye candy, the fake handoffs, you think you got the running back, and then all of a sudden the quarterback just, boom, pop pass right over the top of your linebackers who came up on the run. They got acceptable on the play action pass fake, and then boom, your linebacker's out of position. You send somebody right in that position that the linebacker's supposed to be in. You just pop pass right over the top of the line, and boom, you got a catch. That's probably about 5, 6, 10, 20, maybe 30 yards down the field before your secondary realize, who's got the ball. So that's going to be a lot of things. But also you put a lot of man-to-man coverage involved here when you got the running game started because you got to put a man in the front. That's going to leave your corners on the island. And boom, guess what? It's going to happen. Them streaks and flies and your tight end going down the seam. That's going to be that's a 7-game passing tree we're talking about. The 7-on-7 passing tree. That's kind of you want to do. You want to get the linebackers out of position. You pop your pass back there. You're picking up about 15, 16 chunks down the yard, and before you know, you're in the end zone. So you got to watch out for that. Maryland will be tested early against West Virginia star Lenny Brown, the 6 foot, 210-pound senior was named both the Doak Walker and Max Award watch list after rushing for 1,010 yards and 9 touchdowns last season. Brown is capable as both a rusher and a receiver. He's a dual threat. You got to watch that, Maryland, because all of a sudden he's running the ball. Next thing you know, you popped a little screen pass or a little, little out route to the, coming out of the backfield to the running back, and Lenny Brown's gone. So you got to keep him under control. That's gonna be a key for Maryland too. You got to keep Lenny Brown under control. Brown is capable as a rusher and passer. Maryland's defense can't contain Brown and keep him from reaching the second level. It could be an uphill against the Mountaineers. And that's what West Virginia wants to do. West Virginia wants to put Lenny Brown on some mismatches, exploit him, and then Maryland cannot control that. That's going to be a long day for Maryland because they have him going, then they got the receivers going, you got the running game going, you got Maryland's defense off balance. So we want to see what Maryland can do here on defense. That's going to be the big key here against West Virginia. You got to keep the big key on the play here for West Virginia here. Tagovailoa enters his second season as a starter in College Park and is flanked by a phenomenal weapon of wide receiver corps, senior Dante Dumas and sophomore Raheem Jarrett. Headlines the depth chart under Ross. It is definitely understandable for us to have a returning starter quarterback. Likely, he also mentioned that Dumas is known for his contest catch ability, while Jarrett could cause nightmares for defense in open space with his speed and shiftiness. So you got to get him in space. That's going to be the key. You got to get Jarrett in space. You got to get Dumas going, and you got to get the quarterback comfortable. If you get the quarterback comfortable, then you got a game here. You have a game here. This game is always close. This game is a Hatfield-McCoy type game. You got both teams don't like each other. The other big key here, they were going on to say it, is Dumas, Jones, Jarrett, Cobbs, each connected for a touchdown of a greater than 40 yards, sparking the Terps' high-octane offense. Creating similar explosive plays against West Virginia's stout defense will be a challenge, but necessary in 2020. In 2020, the Mountaineers ranked number 1 in the nation, surrendering an average of 159.6 passing yards per game. Maryland wide receivers against the Mountaineer secondaries figures to be one of the most exciting matchups to watch. And I think that's going to be the key, the defense of Maryland's corners against their wide receivers. If they can match up great and make West Virginia be a one-dimensional team, and they can stop that, running game, and they can stop the passing game, and the defense is more disciplined, and they are disciplined, the team of the game is who's going to commit the least penalty and who's going to be more disciplined. Maryland wants to get West Virginia into one of those little Taunton games. If they get one of those Taunton games, and post penalties that West Virginia had last year will come back and haunt them this year. So that's what we're looking at here in this game here. We're looking at the wide receiver against West Virginia corners. We're looking at Tagovailoa on his quarterback improvement from last year to this year. We're looking at who's going to force the ball down the field, who's going to force, the tight coverage. It's going to be tight coverage all over the place. That's the key. Who's going to commit the most post play pattern penalties? Who's going to create the most penalties? The team with the most penalties in this game is going to lose this game, and that's going to be more stuff. Who can establish the upfront battle? Who can establish the running game? That's going to be the key there too. Ark Harris comes from JUCO level, while left guard Manson Lumford started last year. Season finale against Rutgers. Those two are the new starters, building chemistry with the left tackle, Jalen Duggan, right tackle, right guard, Jordan Branch, and right tackle, Spencer Anderson, will be pivotal. All three have starting experience in game action. They will be challenged against the Mountaineers, who are featuring the best defense line in Big 12. And senior Dante Stills anchors the unit, named the preseason All-American second team, as well as preseason All-Big 12 first team. The Mountaineers team leaders in career sacks with 12, tackles for loss 28.5. Accounting for him on every snap, particularly in the run game, will be a crucial part, with Jake Funk now moved on to the NFL. Tyrone Fleece Davis sidelined in as the Terps feature back. He's versatile runner with ability to hurt defense, both rusher and receiver. So they got one of those type players like Lenny Brown on Mountaineers, so they could counteract some of their Mountaineer plays with Lenny Brown. Hopefully Maryland can do the same thing with their running backs. Maryland's got to establish their running game effectively and often. Tagovailoa most effective on play action and RPOs. So that's the key here for this Maryland team too. When we see teams here like Wyoming and all the play action teams got to establish that running game. Maryland's got to establish that running game, because that's going to create their play action and RPO game. And that's one hell of a play action RPO game to have right there for Maryland, with a high octane offense and their stuff against this Mountaineer. They got to have to off balance the Mountaineers defensive line, because they got some great, they got to account for their offensive, they got to count for Dante Stills every play. If you count for him every play, then they're gonna have a part of double team. Tight end's gonna have to, or your back's gonna have to help clip to get the tackle, set on him good and make sure the tackle's really got him. So there's gonna be a lot of chipping. You're gonna see a lot of tight end. If they get going in a tight end bunch, you're gonna see a tight end help chip Dante Stills. You're gonna see a running back party chipping Dante Stills. And then when we talk about chipping, is they're gonna come in and help, and until the tackle can secure him, and then that back can go out and do anything he needs. And sometimes that back gets lost when they go in there and chip and then take it out. So that's going to be a big key here. These are the key factors here in this game. What do I see in this game? I see a high-scoring game. I see 45-41 maybe. And I see West Virginia probably going to come out and win this game, because with the factor of Dante Stills. And I think they're going to be more disciplined this year, because I think they really activated that in their season thing that we're talking about here today. So, we're talking about a lot of football here. We got a lot of football to cover. We got 58 games to choose from here. We are done. We're down to 5. We're 108 here, So let me go ahead and take another commercial break here. For our Fox D network. This is the All Sports All Play Network. This is the Ray Sports Show, the premier pregame college show on Saturdays. We are 2-3 hours. We leading you up to kickoff time. We started at 9 a.m. and we're rolling to 12 here on the Ray Sports Show on the All Sports Play All Network and Fox D Network. Stay tuned.
This is the Fox D Streaming Network. Register to come on our channel at foxdnetwork.com.
Welcome back to the Ray Sports Show on the All Play All Sports Network and the Fox D Network on our TV platform there on Fox D. We are on the All Play All Sports Network. We're on the Facebook. We're on the YouTube. We're on Twitch. Hey, we got the links going across. We're on our website too. You can check our website out too. So we're looking at some key games here today. We're looking at some key games here. We're in our second hour here on the show. So let's get this thing started right here. Let's get this thing started right here. What game are we going to go next? Are we going to go to a big game? Or are we going to go to a small game? And, this is one of the game that benefits me a little bit here personally, besides the Carolina game. This tradition, the military tradition. Yes, I'm giving it away. We're going to the Navy and Marshall game today at 3:30 at the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in Annapolis, Maryland. Great venue. Been up there a couple of times. Great place, good campus location, nice little small town. The Naval Academy tradition, the pageantry, the military background on the men that are got to go serve after their commitments are over. This is very dear because I am a veteran. I am a Navy veteran. Served 20 years in the military, retired from the Navy. So, even though the Naval Academy is a college, but it's also I find men, the officers are training our future officers, our future enlisted, our future Marine Corps, our future fighters. This is where they teach you leadership. This is where leadership comes from, and that's injury. So we got Navy versus Marshall. The new head coach for Marshall, Charlie Huff, is walking into a great situation. He has got a strong young quarterback in Chris Wells, throwing to a good group of receivers, and will be operating behind an offensive line that won't be a problem to keeping the Navy's pass rush out of the backfield. But other side that is going to be the star is Marshall has the best defense in the Conference USA and was number one in the nation in scoring D. The front seven knows how to handle the running game, allowing just 96 yards a game. 196 yards a game. Yeah, I'm right quick here. There's 196 yards a game. Marshall linebackers who know how to keep with the Navy's ground attack. That's going to be some key here. This is a key. Navy possesses what do we call it? The option, like a triple option type team. That's what the Naval Academy, Citadel, Army, except for the Air Force, don't run it really too much now. They run the triple option offensive style. Navy likes to control the game on the ground. So that's got to be the key. They got to control the Navy on the ground. That's the Navy's got to control the game on the ground. They got to have more time. The Navy gets more time possession. They run teams down in the fourth quarter. That's going to be the key for Marshall. If Marshall could withstand them not grinding down and not taking over time possession of the game, but Marshall got to understand, their defense got to understand this too. You got to play Navy all four downs, because sometimes Navy, if their Navy it's in like 4th and 1, 4th and 2, they're going for it 90% of the time. So you got to play this team all four downs. That's going to be the key of this. But if you keep the Navy's offense in 1st and long, 2nd and long, 3rd and long, you control the Navy's offense. The Navy likes that. First play, you got to give them 5 yards. Boom. Second yard, 2 or 3 yards. Boom. And next thing you know, they got a first down because they got 1 yard on the 3rd down. So that's what the Navy likes to play. First play to get that 5 yards. Next one is get like a 2 or 3 yards. And then the fourth one, you get that third one, you got that 1 yard advantage. So boom, they can push you around. So that's what Marshall's defense got to watch out for. The key of this is like I said in that Citadel game and against Coastal Carolina, which Coastal Carolina did very well, is their defensive ends. It's got to take the quarterback. The linebacker has to take the pitch guy. That's got to be the key. You got to flow. Back end's got to flow, but don't over pursue. Because if you over pursue that, guess what's going to happen? boom, that triple option reverse is going right back on your other defensive end who's now way down the line because he didn't flow correctly. If he flows correctly, that reverse is not going to work because that defensive end's there and your back low linebacker is going to take the other pitch guy going in the other direction. So you got to watch out for that. Navy doesn't have the option reverse as much. We haven't seen it as much in the last 3 or 4 years. So Marshall's got to look out for the triple option and triple option reverse, and you got to look out for the fullback going into the hole in the middle. So if they can cover all that up, what you basically really want to do comes down to you need to make Navy a passive team. You got to make Navy a passive team. That's going to be the big duration here that you're looking at here. You know, you got a big duration of the fact that you got an option team and a team that can pass the ball. What team is going to err? What team can get the game? If Navy gets the passing game going, guess what? It's going to open back up their running game. So you know you got to control the Navy because Navy's not really known for passing, but they do pass these little occasions because they get you to sleep. They get you to sleep with that option. Next thing you know, they do a pass down the field or a little 5-yard pass where the linebacker's supposed to be. Boom, that turns into about 15, 16 yards down the field, and that's a big play for Navy. So I mean, you know, the big thing is can Marshall get its offensive groove back after the stretch at the end of 2020? Can the Herd defense was great all year, and the offensive side was strong for the first 7 games, all wins, but outside of a 17-7 win over Appalachian State, there weren't any wins over any more who was any good. Navy might not have much of a pass rush, but their linebacker core should be able to hold up against Marshall's ground game, and the secondary should also go from good to great as long as the midshipmen's offense can operate like it's supposed to with the option attack or at least control the clock and tempo. Marshall will never be able to take over this game. So the game will never get out of hand, even if the Navy O is sputtering. Can the Navy's offense start to work like it's supposed to? Marshall's O offense might have died down in the stretch, but the midshipmen were not consistent in 13 points in the final 3 games. However, the defense did its part to keep the games close. New year teams, new year parts, but the score will still be a low and close throughout. Expect more of a physical Navy team in 2020 offensively. Look for the defense to be even better. It will be a close game throughout. Neither team will pull away, but Navy will own the time of possession battle, going on one grinding fourth quarter drive to pull off a tough, fun win. I kind of agree this is going to be a close game. If Navy controls the game, Marshall can get their offensive gear. And if the time possession is controlled by Navy, Navy can come out win. I believe the final score will be 20-17. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 14-17 game. And that's why I'm probably going to go. I'm probably going to go Navy 17, Marshall 14 in this ball game. This is going to be a close game. It's going to be a grinding game. And that's what that's where we're going to look at here. So that's the Marshall and Navy pregame show. Look, we got some serious questions here. We got some serious questions. Where do we go next? Where do we go next here in these? Where do we go next? That's going to be the good question here. You know, you stay with us. We surprise you around here on this on the Ray Sports Show and the college pregame show here on the All Play All Sports and Fox D Network. You know, we wanted you to like our, you see us strolling down there, all our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. If you want to comment on the show, you can go to our Facebook. You can comment off that. You can come off our YouTube channel. You can do comments there. Our website's up and running. You can watch the extra show there. So we got you covered. We got you covered here today. We got you covered all the way up to game time here. Game time here today. We got you covered all the way up to game time here today. So Where are we gonna go next here? Where are we gonna go next? That's the question. I haven't. Nobody's commenting here. We need some comments. We need some interaction from our fans. Come on, it's college football day. We got to get some interactions here. We got to get some interaction with our fans here. Can we get some interaction with our fans? Commenting here. Come on, man. We got to comment. Where do you want us to go? Well, I know where I want to go here in this next segment here on pre-gaming the show. I want to go to the Kent State and Texas A&M game. Number 6 Texas A&M Aggies and Kent State, the Golden Flash, will meet for the first time ever Saturday night at Kyle Field Stadium in the matchup between the two teams trending in the right direction. Texas A&M bid to become a national elite program under head coach Jimbo Fisher appears to be itching closer to a fruition. Fisher leads the Aggies to a 9-1 record and an Orange Bowl victory over North Carolina and the school highest final ranking 4th since 1939. For his effort, Fisher has been rewarded a contract extension raise and making him the second highest paid coach in the country behind only Nick Saban. Kent State's head coach Sean Lewis also was rewarded with an extension for his efforts turning the program around. Lewis guided the Golden Flash to a 3-1 record last season, giving them a back-to-back winning season for the first time since 1976 and 1977. Also entering a 4-year deal, Lewis hopes to lead Kent State to his first ever MAC championship. What do we see here from this? And with most of the stars returning on the offense production on an FBS best 606.5 yards, 49.8 yards per game, points per game is not an unreasonable goal. The real challenge will be getting the defense up to speed after giving up 38 points per game and a far too many rushing of 2020. If this happens, the team could very well make a serious run in the MAC title. That says Lewis and his Golden Flashes will more than have their hands full today at Kyle Field against the Aggies. This game is at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPNU. Texas A&M is favored by 28.5. What happens when Kent State has the ball? On paper, there wasn't a better offense in the nation than Kent State Flash offense. Granted, it was in a small sample size of only 4 games all MAC competition, but there is no question that this offense was forced to be reckoned with and should be even better in 2021. Quarterback Dustin Crum is one of the top groups of 5 players in the nation and the engine behind the Golden Flash high-octane attack. He completes 73.5 of his passes for 1,181 yards with 12 touchdowns against 2 interceptions on a ridiculous 10.5 yards per attempt. He also showcases dual threats ability by rushing for 240 yards for average support. Despite losing their leading receiver, Isaiah McCoy, Crum has no shortage of weapons in his disposal in 21 seasons. Speedy wideout Deshaun Polk and Dante Cypress returns following a solid 2020 campaign. But the Golden Flash also added Syracuse transfer Nakeem Johnson, a proven pass catcher who earned second-team All-ACC honor as a return specialist last season. With Kent State's ground attack game should once again be strong as the top 4 rusher returns from the backfield that averages 283 yards per game. And on the ground, including a running back, Marquez Cooper, 56 carries, 282 yards and 5 touchdowns. Brian Bradford, 6-point YPC, and Xavier Williams with an 8-point YPC and 3 touchdowns. You can't have an elite offense without a stellar offensive line, and the Golden Flash are fortunate to return all 5 up front, including all conference talents and Bill Cooper and Nathan Monion. Kent State's offense is undoubtedly could be dangerous. The Golden Flash has definitely their cutout to work against the Texas A&M defense that ranks among the best in the nation last season and returned mostly intact. But the Aggies did lose leading tackler Buddy Johnson, an all-SEC defensive tackle. Buddy Brown III, additionally standout defensive lineman Michael Clemens and Mike McKinley Johnson have been suspended indefinitely. Regardless, this defense is still loaded with talent playmakers across the board. Most notably, defensive lineman D. Marvin Leno and Jaden Peavy, who go along with the defensive back, Miles Jones and Jalen Jones and Domini Richardson. What's going to happen when Texas A&M takes over the ball in their offensive state? All eyes will be on freshman quarterback Haynes King, who is taking the place of Kelly Monk. So they have a question on the quarterback. How will Haynes King start? Saturday night, it makes his first collegiate debut as a starter. King managed to beat out redshirt freshman Zach Zaldea with a strong fall camp and entered the starting nod. However, King's remain question marks with only 4 career passes attempts under his belt. He also has a huge shoes to fill replacing the Aggies' all-time passer Kelly Mong and Fisher, who is clearly has a good eye for quarterback. Cited King is consistent in the pocket presence, accuracy, decision-making as a reasonable for winning the starting job. King is also bringing plenty of speed and athleticism to the table. That's going to be a big key here for the Aggies offense. Who's going to replace? Can he replace Kelly Mong? Kelly Mong is one of the best in Aggies history behind the thing. So, and Victor Bennett says the East Texas boy. Yep. So, I mean, that's going to be a good question. He's a Texas player, high school player in Texas is always going to be phenomenal. They have big talent in the state of Texas. State of Texas is known for high school football. And when I visit Dallas area and stuff like that, I looked at some of these high school stadiums, and some of these high school stadiums look like college football stadiums. And Friday night football is really big down in Texas. So, the other concern facing the Texas Aggies offense is the offensive line that will see 4 new starters in a lineup Saturday night. So the offensive line's got some questions there for Texas A&M. Not long with your quarterback. Now you got your offensive line who's now got 4 new starters on Saturday night, and that's not – but the All-American offensive line, Kenyon Green does return, and Tennessee transfer Jamar Johnson brings a veteran presence after starting 17 games for the Vols. There's also no shortage on potential talent among these groups, despite the overall lack of experience. So, this game could be a little bit, you got an experienced offensive line over there in Kent State, and you got an inexperienced offensive line at Texas, but Texas A&M. But Texas A&M has got talent because they're FBS. They got more talent here on the paper, so that they should dominate this game. But Golden Flash it's not going to roll over easily here. You're going to have to force their hands too here, and the Aggies going to have to look at the quarterback situation. Is King going to be the good replacement in Kelly Mong? That's going to be the question there. It's all about the Texas A&M quarterback and whether he delivers and how these the new offensive line is going to gel, because they got to have chemistry together, because offensive line's got to work in chemistry. You got to have chemistry all of them down the offensive line. You got to have it. It's like a musical piece. You got to be all in sync. And if you're all in sync and you have your way, you can open up some holes, and the running back gets in there, or you got time for your quarterback to make passes down the field. Aggies bring back a wealth of talent at their skill position. Isaiah Spiller and Delvon Aiken might be the biggest 1-2 punch in the nation at running back. Spiller returns after rushing 1,036 yards and 9 touchdowns, 10 games last season. Meanwhile, Aiken showed flashes of greatness, averaging 8.5 per game per carry and earning the Orange Bowl MVP for a 140-yard 2 touchdown performance win over North Carolina. The Aggies have plenty of quality options returning in the receiving core. Crops too. All SEC tight end Jalen Weidemeyer returns after hauling in 46 catches for 506 yards and 6 touchdowns a season ago. Do it all. Receiver Inez Smith also returns after leading the Aggies last season with 564 yards, receiving yards, and 6 scores of his own. Talented wideouts Chapman, Chase Lanes are back, as well as among others. The Aggies will face an experienced Kansas State defense and returns most of its starters, 8 of its top 9 tacklers from the season ago, including standout defensive end Zaylen West. And that says this was a defense that was tied for 113th in scoring defense last season and struggled mighty against the run, giving up 262 yards, rushing yards per game. At the odds extremely well for the Aggies. Rush tackle on Saturday. Kent State was dominant on the defensive side of the ball last season, but there is big difference between facing the MAC defense and an empty stadium versus facing an SEC elite defense in a most hostile environment in college football in the United States. College field is hostile environment. That call it the 12th man. This Victor Young said the line is young, but they have athletic quarterback to help them. Plus the running game, so it's A&M by 14. I don't know. I think A&M could be better than a 14-point win over this team. I think the talent is there. I think the defense is there. If King lives up to his lofty ability in his debut, it will be a long night for the Kent State defense, and that's the key right there. If he shows up and he's mobile, that's going to help out the offensive line, but also it's going to give a defensive nightmare because they got a mobile quarterback back there. You can't just sit there and you got to be disciplined on your rush, because you come out of your rush lane, he can burn you with his legs. So, I think if it's a lofty building here, you say 14, Victor. I'm kind of leaning to a little bit more of a lopsided score. I'm looking at the Aggies probably about 49, Kent State probably 21. I'll give Kent State 21, but I think the Aggies are just going to pull away in the fourth quarter because I think they're going to stay in that running game. I think King's going to have a better than we think he is with his athleticism. He might even go for over 100 yards rushing. So, I agree with you, Victor. That will be more just saying at the least. Yeah, that's true too. We're looking at the Texas game here, and and then Joe pops in. Can Michigan compete for the Big Ten? Hey, we're gonna go to Michigan next. We're gonna do a Michigan thing because I want to talk about Harbaugh and his situation at Michigan. If he can't produce this year, is it time for Harbaugh to leave Michigan? That's going to be the good question there. We'll get to that here in a minute, Joe. Let's just finish up with the Texas A&M. Yes, Victor, I'm going to ask, at least 14, that's most at least, but I think this is going to be a first play game. I think King's going to be excited. His adrenaline's going to be out there. I think if he gets away, I think the Golden Flash, if the Texas A&M jumps on the Golden Flash early, I think that confidence is going to be lost. We know Kyle Field's going to be pumping the 12th man. Then that's their name of the crowd, the 12th man. It's going to be more involved. So I kind of see that. And so in this game, but I'm still sticking my statement. I think there's going to be a 49-21 victory for Texas A&M over this game here. And like I said, we're looking at this situation here, and we're looking at some of the stuff that goes on in college football here. We're talking about, Joe brought up a good question here about can Michigan win the Big Ten, and that's going to be a good omen, because the question is, can Michigan beat Ohio State? Because that's going to probably be the tail end of the season for Michigan University too. But the question is, if Michigan has a down year again, is Jim Harbaugh out of a job this coming season? I mean, is he on the hot seat? I think he's on the hot seat. If he can't beat Ohio State this year, or if he can't have a winning season this year in Michigan, he might be gone. So that's gonna be the good question here. Let's see if I can pull my notes here for the Michigan game right quick here. I know I have it here somewhere. Let me see if I can find the Michigan game here. Where's the Michigan notes here? Because I have my notes written down in certain specific areas here. Let me see here. Michigan. Here we go. Let's see here. Michigan football versus Western Michigan. Battle of the Michigans here. Let's see what we got here for you, Mr. Joe. Michigan football. My notes here for Michigan football here. So you want to know, can Michigan win the Big Ten? Let's take a look here. University of Michigan opens up this football season against a program with zero success against the Wolverines. The game is at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 9 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Central Time. At Michigan State, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Game is going to be on ESPN, prime time, 12 o'clock kickoff. All eyes will be on Michigan probably, because they want to see if Harbaugh is going to be the last year of Harbaugh's tenure. Can Harbaugh turn this program around? Following the miserable 2020 season, Michigan snuffles into a new season looking for a positive start. This could be a positive start. Wolverines have a 7-0 record against Western Michigan. That's going to be a key. They're 7-0 overall against Western Michigan. But the most recent meeting in 2018, they square off at Michigan's Big House in Ann Arbor on Saturday. Michigan finished last season 2-4 record and had its last 3 games canceled due to COVID-19 issues. Sophomore Kike Manure won a training camp competition for the starting quarterback job. Manure appeared in 4 games last season, including a stellar relief effort against Rutgers when he threw for 4 scores and ran for another in a triple overtime win. He racked up it really in a lot of different areas. Coach Jimbo said the biggest one consistency is his consistency of doing his job. Also called it a talented, really making everyone else around him better. And maybe it's the most important part of being a quarterback. And you gotta make your team, you gotta make the other teams better and stuff like that. So that's gonna be a good key for Michigan's success this year. It's gonna be the quarterback play. Can he produce every game? He's got to be consistent of every game. Harbaugh's defense has got to be consistent every game. Harbaugh himself has got to be consistent every game. He can't look rattled over on the sidelines if he don't get the right calls. Some of the calls that goes against Michigan, he looks kind of rattled. He looks kind of PO, really. He's got to be better. He's got to be more disciplined. He's got to show a leadership in his team. Sometimes I feel like Michigan in the previous years didn't really play for Harbaugh because Harbaugh didn't really show great leadership. He's got to have to be a better leadership this year. He's got to set the example. He's got to produce, and the team's got to fight for him. You got to fight for the head coach. We're going to know, probably midway through the season if Michigan starts dropping off again, if his team's going to really play for him or they're just going to let it, go. That's when Harbaugh's got to be really. You got to look at Western Michigan here. The Broncos finished 4-2 a year. Also, a year playing Mid-American Conference schedule. Quarterback Kelly Elby threw for 1,715 yards and 18 touchdowns, while running back Ladarius Jefferson averaged 5.6 yards per game carry and scored 5 touchdowns. Obviously, they're going to be really good at what they do. But they execute really well at a high level. Quarterback Elby really fanatics. Well, you rank 3rd in the country in passing efficiency. That's playing really efficient, and that's playing really good football. Ladarius, a fine running back. All running backs are really – they're north and south runners. They hit the hole fast. That's a good thing for a running back because the north and south runners, that's what you want. But Michigan wants to turn them to an east and west runners because that's even better for Michigan's defense to stop them. So that's going to be the question here. Can Western Michigan go downhill with their – running attack? If they get downhill with their running attack and get success, that's going to put Michigan's defense a little bit of vulnerability, and it could, give a key for Western Michigan. If they can get the running game down north and south, start going east and west, then you're going to think. So you got to understand, Michigan's defense needs to make sure that their runners are going east and west, not north and south. If their runners go north and south, in perspective which way they're going in the field, then they're going to run all over Michigan's defense, and it's going to be a hard time, and it's going to give Michigan some trouble because what comes happening to an effective running game? The play action pass. Your linebacker is going to be tentative, going to bite on the run because they established the running game. Boom, next thing you know, you got a receiver replacing where the linebackers were, and boom, they're down the field 15, 16, 17 yards down the field before the corners and the safety realize what's going on if they're playing if they have to play the man coverage, That's the thing about the running game here. That's why coaches are that's why head coaches at football game in high school really dictate saying, hey, we got to get the running game established. Running game. Why? Because that leads to the effective play action pass. That leads to more exception. At least linebackers got to be out of position. That means corners got to be on the island by themselves. That means your wide receiver knows what the route tree is. He can burn the corner, and boom, your quarterback knows where the ball should be at what time. If they get all that happen, then you can see Michigan a little bit battling here. So that's going to be the key for Michigan's defense. They got to have a better defense than they had last year. So to me, what's going to happen here. Tim Lester is worried. This is what Tim Lester is worried about at the University of Michigan's this defensive end and Ande Hutchinson and safety Dax Hill. They are extremely talented team. This is what the head coach of Western Michigan has said about the defensive end and the safety of Michigan. They are extremely talented team, big, fast. They also have one of the best pass rushers in the country, projected to be a top 5 pick. So you have to know where he is at all times. Let's just say they have to know where the safety is. And in his opinion, is one of the best I have ever seen. Obviously, they're surrounded by a bunch of really good players, but those two, I think, are special. And so you have to keep an eye on them. If they are worried about the defensive end, they're worried about the safety. That's going to be a big problem for Western Michigan, because right now they don't have no confidence. And these two guys start dominating from Michigan. Michigan can be a totally different team in 2021. Harbaugh might have found a good formula here, but this is going to be the key, right? This is going to set the tone for Michigan's team. If Michigan come out and boom, flatten this team right off the bat, that gives Michigan some confidence going into the next game. Michigan has to get better every game. Confidence has got to be up a high when they get into that Big Ten conference. That's going to be the tell of Michigan. Can Michigan take the Big Ten? I don't think so. I don't think they could take it right now. I don't think they're on that level right now, but they are on a level to make some moves into the Big Ten, but they have to play really disciplined football, and Harbaugh has to be a better coach than he really is. That's my key here. But the final score today, I think Michigan's going to blow them out. I think Michigan's too dominant. I think Michigan's got the team to do it. If the quarterback's on his game, and makes everybody around better in that Michigan offense, and the safety and the defensive end for Michigan is dominating, no way this Western Michigan team, and Michigan will go 8-0 against Western Michigan in all-time record. So it's two things. How will this team react, and how will Jim Harbaugh react this season? If Harbaugh shows more discipline and not show up and, every time a bad call happens to the team, he really fusses at the referees like he does. I know he likes to show emotion with his team. And if his team plays hard for him, and we're going to tell from the first game, if his team comes out and plays really hard for him this first game and then builds on success as the season goes, by the time they reach that Ohio State game, we will know if Michigan could be a contender against Ohio State. That's going to be a key coming down to this season. If Michigan can win most of their games all the way down to get to Ohio State, and they can beat Ohio State, I think two things that happen. Jim Bob will save his job. Michigan could win the Big Ten. That's going to be the question coming in here. Can they be consistent all season long? Can Harbaugh be a better coach that he hasn't been in the last few years? Harbaugh needs to get back to his winning ways, and I think he lost his little mojo. And if he doesn't get in the winning ways, I think it's win now, go home. If Michigan don't win now, Harbaugh's gone. That's my opinion, because they're going to make a coaching change. I mean, Michigan's football has been down a long time. Back in the day when Bo Schembechler was there, Michigan was a powerhouse team. They came and won him. That's true, Ben. That's true. I mean, that's true. We don't know how this team is going to react. We'll see a good show in here, hopefully today against Western Michigan. But like I said, they have to continue to prove all season long, and they have to keep winning all season long. If they take that one loss, then we don't know what's going to happen. That one loss could turn into 2, could turn into 3. And I mean, once you get that losing mentality, it's kind of hard to get back onto the winning ways in college football. I mean, you can talk to me all day about that. I mean, it's hard to get back in the winning ways. I mean, Carolina's got one coach that comes in, and then next coach comes in, he does a little bit better, then he gets worse as the years goes along. Mac Brown's the only one been really consistent in a long time at North Carolina, and trying to change the culture from a losing way back to a winning way is kind of hard. We're going through that battle in North Carolina. Michigan's definitely going through that battle right now. I mean, Harbaugh needs to be a great coach. He needs to be a great leader and stop wearing his emotion on his shirt every time he calls on goes wrong way and he shows off, attacks the referees. That's not helping your cause anyway, too, because, the referees are starting getting tired of hearing him, chirp all the time. So, to me, Michigan has got to do it this way. Michigan got to be consistent. Michigan's got to be all the way down. But at the end, I don't think Michigan had, to answer Joe's question, I don't think Michigan has enough to win the Big Ten. I think Harbaugh is gone after this year, and Michigan is going to have to go to a new direction. So we're going to take another commercial break here. We'll be right back on the Rays Sports Show on the All Sports All Play Network and the Fox D Network. We're going to come back. Last few minutes here. Where we're going to go next here. What part are we going to go and move up into the big tier games here, the big ranked teams games here in the nation. We got a lot more to cover here on the Rays Sports Show. We got an hour and 15 minutes before kickoff here, and we're going to take you all the way up to noon kickoff here on the All Sports All Play Network and the Rays Sports Show college pregame show, premier college football pregame show here on the Fox D Network. So stay with us.
This is the Fox D Streaming Network. Register to come on our channel at foxdnetwork.com.
Welcome back to the Rays Sports Show here on the All Plays, All Sports Talk Radio, social media, and the Fox D Network on TV platform affiliate here with the All Sports All Play Network. And this is the Rays Sports Show, the college pregame show, one of the premier college pregame shows here to take you all the way up to noon kickoff here. So we're talking about, certain things that we're looking here that, we want to talk about here. We want to get into some of the big games here today. So I want to talk about here. Let's start off with the Texas Longhorns and the Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns. Talk here. Well, let's get them started here. Let's talk about this here. This is the battle of two ranked teams in the nation here. This is the number 21 Texas versus number 23 Louisiana, the Running Cajuns. Louisiana Lafayette's in 2021 seasons. Steve Sarkisian era will begin this Saturday as number 21 ranked Texas take on number 23 ranked Louisiana Lafayette in the 2021 season. Always. So if you look at it, and it's fantastic, everything about what's going on Saturday from this, new fierce, and the fact that Texas is facing a veteran quality, well-coached opponent in the number 23 Louisiana, which features a rising coach in Billy Nipper and smart, crafty, fifth-year dual-threat quarterback Levy Lewis, who has been called Calamari Light. That's the kind of high praise for him, calling him Calamari Light. Simply as the intrigue, you got your betting odds. Texas by 14, Texas by 8.5. That's your betting odds there. Some people are getting. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game because of the PK's defense, which will have the help clean up any mistakes made by the offense, looking to establish a rhythm with both Hudson Card and Casey Thompson. Expected to take the field here. Yeah, and commercials is pretty good. Actually, for the Fox D Network here, we're keeping everything moving, keeping everything flowing here. Victor, good job. Thanks for the comment. I'm sure that the Fox Network team, Fox D Network, is appreciating your comments on that. The TV platform, you can catch us on Roku. As pretty soon all the Amazon Fire, Apple's coming up hopefully soon. And so if you got Roku, you can find us on the Fox D Network. We come to you live every Saturday from 9 to 12, leading you all the way up to kickoff on the Fox D Network here and the All Sports All Play Network too. Tongue twister this morning is kind of get it here. So if you look at Texas draft, if you're looking here, I think the low scoring game, any mistakes by Hardin Card, both teams have weapons in the return game on special team could play a significant factor in the game. If Texas can grab an early lead, that's the key for Texas. They got to grab that early lead to go up by 2 scores. Louisiana might have a tough time catching up because the Raging Cajuns, they called, are relied on their running game to set up their passing struggle and stuff like that. So this team is Louisiana is more of a run-pointed team. If they can run north and south, not east and west, and they can set up their play action pass, Texas is going to have a long day. If Texas can jump out on them, make the running back go east and west, north and south, and contains that running game, that passing game is a struggle for Louisiana, and Texas could win big. But like I said, it's going to be a low-scoring game. I like to say here, I think this is going to probably be maybe an 11-point victory, or it could be a 14-point victory for Texas. I think Texas is going to win 24-13. I think they're going to control the running game. I think they're going to control the passing attack for Louisiana. I think Louisiana will put some score up. Certain situations for Texas will probably be lackadaisical on their defensive side. So I think they could put some points up in this game. But I don't think they're going to put up 20. I don't think they can put up 20 points. I think Texas is strong enough on their offensive end and their defense. It might have a key turnover to lead into a score. I think Texas can get over the 20. I think they score about 24, 26, and maybe. I think they can win by 13 points. 11 points is reasonable. I think you take the over on this one. Texas 24, Louisiana 13 in this contest. So I think number 21 would take the win over number 23. It'll be a good game, one of the good games to watch today. This game will be, let's see here. Let me see if I can find the Texas game here. What time will they come on here? It's a lot of games today. 58 games today. Yeah, we're trying to get in here and cover here today on this show. I'm just trying to find the Texas game real quick here. It's a lot of the schedule. They're at 4:30 p.m. on the Fox Network. So that 4:30 on Fox Network. So there you go. That's the Texas A&M Louisiana game here. Let's move into one of the next games I want to talk about here. We got 2 big games I want to talk about here, and let's go to the Penn State. Let's go to the number 19 Penn State versus number 12 Wisconsin. This is going to be a good battle here between another top 25 teams here. Big Ten. We'll start off in the Big Ten Conference against Wisconsin. The expert, these are some predictions here that's going to go around. That some of the people are predicting to win this game here. At long last, the 2021 season, Penn State's football season is upon us, and the 19th ranked Nittany Lions are not opening with just an old opponent this year. Instead, they are making the 710 miles trip west to face number 12 Wisconsin at Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin. That is one of the toughest places to play in college football. Also, the mystique of Camp Randall, the pride of Wisconsin, they're running the attack. These are some key stuff that's coming on here. Wisconsin is a 5.5 favorite in this game, and the over and under for the contest was an even 50 points. So do we see 50 points? Do we see a combined 50 points in this game? We could have. It could be that. But, if you're looking at the over and under, yeah, I think most times you take the under because of the way Wisconsin plays and the way Penn State plays too. But what style of play is going to concede here? The Caesar Sportsbook is saying 50 points. You can go with the over and under, and then the bad Nazi or a betting person here. Both of these teams have a potential to be pretty good before the season is over, but how long will it take them to get to their potential? It's a rough start the season, the top 25 opponent, especially at Conference 1. I expect a slow start from both sides as each team gets comfortable on offense. Both defenses should have the upper hand, but in this game, it's likely usually comes down. It's going to come down to a turnover or so. Who can be turnover free in this game? That's going to be a good concept. Who is it going to be a turnover free game for? Can Penn State not turn the ball over? Is Wisconsin going to force the ball to be turned over by Penn State, or will Wisconsin turn the ball over themselves? That's going to be a good question here. The throat getting kind of dry here, so that's going to be a good question here. Sean Clifford struggled to protect the football last year until we see a sharper effort consistently in a reasonable play and wait and see game there. The contest fits profile of one of which the home team does enough to bring home the win. That could be a magnified on Saturday as the fans will be back in Camp Randall Stadium for the first time since 2019. It should be a good game, but as tough way to start the schedule for the Nittany Lions. I'm predicting Wisconsin 24, Penn State 21, and they will not beat the 50. They will go beyond under the 50 total points. That's why I think this game is going to be a pretty good. If you want to bet the 5 points, you could. I think this is going to come down to a field goal, probably a late Robin field goal in the fourth quarter to win the game. But I think Wisconsin will take this one 24-21. That's my prediction here. Some morning from inside here is Sean Clifford going to make the paternal leap to be a cohesive defensive unit until swarming the ball, athletic across the field. But the fact is there may be one more mystery involved here than any Penn State team I have covered in my years watching Penn State football, because I watch a lot of Nittany Lions football because I like Joe Paterno at the time and stuff like that. So Penn State, and plus I always watch because I had a buddy to go. I had a friend to go to Penn State that was stationed in the Navy with me. So he's not longer here with us anymore. But I keep an eye on his team and stuff like that too. Nittany Lions have a legitimate high ceiling because Mike, you're Chichi. Yurcich is his last name, is difference maker. And 3, there is a blue chip talent loaded up in a crucial spot. But looking Saturday's criticism, the benefit of the doubt just isn't right now to pick Penn State over Madison, especially half of the roster about to encounter the first road trip college crowd in the first time in a whole year. The Big Ten buzz setting like one of the most games of where the Beaver Stadium. This is going to be on the road here. But you got one thing you got to look about Wisconsin is Wisconsin's got a running back. He transferred out of Clemson University. He was behind Travis Etienne. He didn't want to be there anymore, and so he left. So he's now up in Wisconsin. He's going to take over for the Wisconsin running back Love. So now, can he fill that big shoes of their running back? Can he produce what they do? Because we know Wisconsin's going to come and smack you right in the mouth. They are a smash mouth football. They're a run first team, pass second team. They like to put you in a bind. They like to get the running game going, play action, pass you. Boom, that's another thing about this. This team likes to run north and south, north and south, north and south. They're not a west-east. They're not an east-west runner. They're north and south runners. And if you could, and then Penn State's defense got to make them an east and west running team. They make them an east west running team, they will give a chance for Penn State's defense. But if they get that running game going, and then the pass play action. We've been talking a lot about play action pass because these teams we've been talking about are the run first teams and play action pass teams, and that's going to be the key here in this game. What team is going to establish? What team is going to have less turnovers? What team is going to have less penalties and less mistakes? Like I said, this game is going to come down to field goal, but I think because they're at home, Camp Randall, the Mystique. I think the field goal team. I think it's going to be Wisconsin by 3. I think it's going to be 21-24 is going to be the final score of this ball game. So that's a big time game here. number 19 versus number number 12 Wisconsin. Is Wisconsin overranked high, or is Penn State ranked a little bit low? This is going to be a tale of two tapes right here for this team here. Yeah, we're getting almost close up to the last hour of this thing. We're getting almost an hour away here. We're about we're an hour away. An hour away of kickoff time here at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock kickoff time. We are less than an hour away now for college football start on Saturday. Last Saturday we had some college football games. Wednesday night we had a college football game, one college football game. We had 14 college football games. Thursday night we had 10 on Friday. Today we have 58 games today from noon all the way up till midnight tonight. College football is back. College football is back in full swing. We have one game Sunday. We have one game on Monday. If you really want to know the game on Sunday will be, the game on Sunday is going to be an honor game. It's going to be the honor of Bobby Bowden, the passing of Bobby Bowden. We have Notre Dame at Florida State. I might jump back on here. That game is at 7:30. I'm going to have to talk it over to the big brothers here. I might jump on an hour before the game and do the hour pregame show for that game. And then on Monday at 8 o'clock p.m., I don't think I'll be able to jump on Monday for that. What I'll probably do is, break down these two games on Sunday. I'll have to talk to the higher ups in the organization here. Just get the approval. If we do, watch out for our Facebook notice. I'll put a notice out on Facebook if I'm going live on Sunday to cover these two games on Sunday and Monday. Bobby Bowden game, it's going to be a memory game. They already have come out and said, I'm going to go talk about a little bit about this, and then we're going to jump into the big two games, Alabama and Miami, and then the Georgia and Clemson game. We'll probably do the Georgia-Clemson game. Miami and Alabama game will be the last game for the big games we're going to talk about, and then we have more time. We'll go back through some more of the 58 games that we have left. We have a few games left here. So I hope you enjoyed the show today. I hope you enjoyed the pregame show on Thursday, the pregame show on Friday. The special edition today is the show. Today is where my regular show is from 9 until noon. We're less than an hour away for kickoff. I'm leading you all the way up to the kickoff. We got the two important games coming up. I have the Alabama and the Miami game. I have the Clemson and Georgia game. So that will be there. We'll have more time and we'll get more games in. So I hope you enjoyed. We went big. We went small. We went in between. We went all the top key ranked teams in this thing. So anyway, give it back to the Florida State a little bit here. I'll give it back. They're going to tribute Bobby Bowden. They're going to give him, they're going to, on one end, it's going to be the ACC logo. On the other end, it's going to be the Bobby Bowden hat. That's how they're going to honor him a little bit on the field. So this is going to be this game of Florida State is going to be a very integral game. So hopefully I can get the higher ups to give me the okay. If it does, then I'll probably come on about 6:30, leading up to the kickoff at 7:30 p.m. That'll be 6:30 Eastern time, 5:30 Central time, and 3:30 Pacific time. So once I get the okay from the higher ups, I have to talk to the higher ups on both organizations here. They all sports, all play network and the Fox D network. See if we can get this approved and get the pregame show for those too. So with all due respect, let's move on here. What we got some big time games here. That we got to talk about here. We got the hold on one second here. We had the Georgia, the big game here this week. Is the number is Georgia University. The Bulldogs playing in Charlotte, North Carolina, a neutral site against the Clemson Tigers of the ACC. Yes, sir. We're going into the ACC. We're going to ACC SEC matchup today. Who will be the big winner here today? Can it be the Bulldogs? Can it be the Clemson? I'm gonna tell you what's driving on this big game here. For the loser of this game, there's some history about what team loses. If loses game, what to expect from the loser of this game. So this is going to be a very pivotal game here.
If you have a flat tire,
So-
dead battery, need a tow, or lock your keys in the car,
So, we got to look here at some key information here, some key vital information that we got to look at here. Some vital. The Georgia Bulldog versus Clemson Tiger. This is a battle of a number 3 team in the nation, Clemson, and number 5 team, Georgia. Who's got a better quarterback right now? Right now, we know what JT Daniel is for Georgia. We know what Clemson's got to face replacing Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne and other top names in their thing. What is the history of these schools? Georgia Bulldogs and Tigers are renewing their rivalry to open up the 2021 for college football season. Georgia has faced Clemson 64 times in school history. The 65th edition of Georgia Clemson is expected to be the top non-conference game in college football this season. That's what they're anticipating. The Bulldogs and Tigers are both ranked in the top 5, are considered championship contenders. 2 schools are separated by only 72 miles. The only other school that's separated less than 72 miles, that's Duke and Carolina. And they're not really, the rivalries in football, but really big rivalries in basketball. But this is the big rivalry right here. 72 miles separates both schools. The history here. Let's take a look at a little bit of the history of Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia Bulldog has a significant series edge over Clemson. University of Georgia has won 42 out of the 64 games in the series history. Clemson only has won 18 games out of that history. The 2 programs have tied 4 games. Clemson dominated the series with 7 straight wins in the 1900s, but Georgia has won the vast majority of the other game contests against Clemson. Georgia has one of the big time averages over Clemson. The Dogs have hosted the Tigers 35 times. Clemson has played UVA in their home stadium only 24 occasions. This game, the last game Georgia and Clemson played, was on a neutral site, who had to go all the way back to 1913. Georgia and Clemson played each other at a neutral site in Augusta, Georgia. From 1909 to 1913 will be the first time, and the 2 teams has faced each other in Charlotte, North Carolina. Georgia and Clemson is truly a rivalry. The schools closer geographic proximity to the frequent battles on the football field is why Georgia and Clemson are rivalries. Additionally, Clemson wears orange, which is a color well known to spike thoughts of hatred in the brains of the Georgia Bulldog fans. That's kind of weird. Yeah, it's history. It's all the history. I've digged up some history on these 2 teams here. Georgia has played Clemson more than any other school non-conference foe outside of Georgia Tech. In fact, Georgia has battled Clemson more than SEC opponents like LSU and Mississippi State. Georgia is 6-4 in the last 10 games against Clemson, which dated back in 1986. The Bulldogs have won their last games against Clemson, a season opener in 2014 when Todd Gurley and Nick Chubb could not be stopped. And the Tigers prevented a 38-35 over Todd Gurley and Aaron Murray, and a company in 2013 season opener. So I mean, you're looking at these directions here. For this, that's the set of a history of this game here. But the question is, who's going to replace Trevor Lawrence? It's going to be that quarterback. I can't really pronounce his name. Ogallea, I think that's his name. It's a tough name. Not a very good name. Sorry if I butcher your name. Is playing the game of this caliber in week 1 a risk worth taking for the team in the national title aspect? Much as they wanted to tamp down this wildfire of hype surrounding their game, Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney and Georgia Kirby Smart have failed Saturday's game. This history that surrounded it as implications can have on the 2021 college football season are that the big. Better than a fail in the crafty of narrow surroundings and the hyperventilating run up to number 3 Clemson, number 5 Georgia, then losing the actual game. In this case, history tells us on Saturday, loser in Charlotte will have a massive problem achieving its second long goal, which is nothing less than achieving one of the 4 spots in the college football playoffs. Yep, the losers could be in trouble. Perhaps a big trouble. The last team to gain at least a share of a national championship despite losing its opener was Miami back in 1983. It happened only 4 times in a wire service poll history since 1936. No team has played a BCS championship game or made the CFP after losing its opener since the former began in 1998. That's understandable because the sports opening week doesn't often have such a compelling opener. Saturday morning marks only the fifth time in a span that it pairs the top 5 teams have kicked off the season against one another. The last 2 such top 5 team meeting games winners have advanced to at least play for the national championship. Number 1, Alabama beat number 3 Florida State 24-7 in 2017, and number 4 LSU beat number 3 Oregon 40-27 in 2011. So yeah, it would be wise to win this game. Clemson is currently favored by 3 points according to the Caesar Books Sportsbook. When it all said and done, I don't think you can judge either team based on one game. Sweeney says this week a lot can happen in one game, especially in an opener. Nobody's going to declare a national championship if you win this game. True, but the history tells us the loser is unlikely to be part of any national title hunt. So that's going to be the key here for Clemson. Can Clemson win this game? Can Georgia win this game? You got a veteran quarterback in JT Daniels. You got an up-and-coming cornerback for Clemson in Ogalea. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Clemson has a user confidence in 6 straight league titles as a springboard to 6 competitive CFP appearances and 2 national titles since 2015. The lose this one, and the Bulldogs are basically running out of championship runway. To identify history, they would have to run the table in the ultimate competitive SEC. Auburn and Florida are on the schedule down the road. There has yet to be a 2-loss program to make the 4-team field in the 7-year history of the CFP. In fact, only pair of the 2 lost teams in the history have ever won a national title championship in a wire service era, one in the last 61 years. That was LSU in 2007. That year, everything had to go right for the Tigers, who lost their regular season finale against Arkansas, giving up 50 points in 3 overtime defeats at home. Previously, Minnesota won in 1960. So this is history. This is fact history right here. This is a big game for Clemson, a big game for Georgia. The losers in this history is going to have a hard time competing for the national title. If Georgia will have to run the table. Florida, in 1998, here you go. 1998, Florida State had made it to the first BCS title game, despite the loss to North Carolina State in 2014. Ohio State lost at home to Virginia Tech, rebound to win it all. Both of those losses came in week 2 of their schedule. That's the closest season open comparison in the impact of Saturday's game in Charlotte, North Carolina. This game will be played 80 miles apart, or about 80 miles apart. Charlotte Bank Field Stadium is 200 miles from Athens, Georgia, and it's meant to serve as a neutral site, but it figures to be populated by a large portion of Clemson fans and Tigers fans. Tiger Stadium is only 140 miles away. So you got one stadium one team is 200 miles away. You got another one is 140 miles away from Charlotte. So it's going to be a big impact. If this is going to supposed to be a neutral site, it's supposed to be 50-50 fans, but we're probably going to see more of Orange because they have a less traveled road. But Georgia fans does travel very good because they do travel down here in Jacksonville when they play Florida at the Cocktail Bowl, and at TIAA Bank Field it sits about 80,000 people when that Georgia game. They have to add more seats to that stadium. So Georgia fans does travel. Clemson fans does travel. So this could be a good even crowd matchup here of the thing. This is one of the rare. The one is a pistol duel at 20 pace. This is a Vince Dooley versus Danny Ford. This is a renewal of rivalry while starting over a cliff. Georgia and Clemson both bought out of a lesser non-conference game to play each other Saturday. That the team hasn't met since 2014, so they bought out their lesser conference to make this thing happen. This is going to be a big game. This is going to be a national championship implication game really, because if whoever loses this, I think Clemson has if Clemson loses a little bit, I think they have a better thing because they have the ACC. And if Georgia loses, it's gonna have a hard because they play in that big SEC title. They still got to play Florida, they still got to play Auburn on their schedule, so they still got to run the gauntlet in the SEC if they lose this game. I think Clemson has a better chance in the ACC and then what Georgia has in the SEC coming up too. So here we go. Neither quarterback has completed a full season for vastly different reasons. Clemson sophomore DJ Ugalea is taking over for Trevor Lawrence and a generational talent. Georgia junior JT Daniels is trying to take over leadership of the Dogs. The USC transfer hopes to keep the momentum going from 2020 when he returned from a knee injury to throw for 1,200 yards in the final 4 games of Georgia. In this duel, heavy with longing aspiration, anticipation, and hype, the participants can't wait. It's really aiming fire away. Our fans crave these kinds of games, Smart said. This is according to Smart, the head coach of Georgia. Our fans crave these games. We as a coach crave these kind of games. You find out a lot more about yourself. For you guys, it's everything. It's over if you don't win. You win it all if you do win. But for us, it's an opportunity to grow, and it's going to make us even better out of our ACC conference, our ACC schedule, regardless of where we're going to do as a better team. So that right there says enough right there. That's going to be the battle. Whose quarterback is going to establish himself? Will it be Georgia's quarterback establishing themselves against the Clemson defense? Or will it be Georgia, or Clemson quarterback establishing himself against the Georgia defense? We know Georgia's defense is great. We know Clemson's defense is good too. And this is going to be a battle of the top 5 teams. This right here is a national championship type caliber game. If you look at it, the aspect of the implication of this game, what they are ranking down to, it's kind of hard to pick the final score because you're going to have JT Daniels who can throw the ball. You got Ugalea who can run the ball, who can throw also, but he's also athletic, can run the ball too. So that gives Clemson a little bit more added element to that game because now Georgia's got to compare it to a mobile quarterback who can, Trevor Lawrence is mobile too, but then again, Ugalea is more athletic. I think he's a little more athletic quarterback than Trevor Lawrence was, but Trevor Lawrence is a better passer and a better arm and better consistency in his throws down the field. And then Ugalea has shown, but Ugalea did play good when he did play against Notre Dame in the absence of Lawrence because of the COVID-19 what Lawrence had. So I think that's going to be a key here. He has a little bit of experience, but not much. JT Daniels has a little bit more bigger experience, but JT Daniels has that ceiling that he came on the last 4 games and compare. Lawrence finished the season out for Clemson. Ugalea has got to really, you got to really look at some of the key. You got to really look at here. Let's look at some of the injuries here. Just a week before the top 5 clash, this is we got Georgia's tight end Daryl Washington and John Fitzpatrick, receiver Curious Jackson, and Jamar Burton, defensive back Tyreek Smith, and center Warren Erickson went down with injuries during the fall camp. It wasn't like the Bulldogs were at 100% before then. Receiver Dominic Blaylock is still recovering from an ACL tear suffered last year. He was lethal as a true freshman, going down with 2 straight ACL tears on the same knee. Coach Summer confirmed in the press conference earlier this week that Blaylock had more work to do before taking the field. Georgia Pickens suffered the same injury in the spring of an LSU transfer. Arquette Gilbert is still not with the team due to personal reasons. The 2 big shots for Georgia's wideout depth before the opener. But there is good news. However, Fitzpatrick is good to go on Saturday. Jackson, Burton, and Erickson have been able to practice at least a couple of weeks and will take the field in Charlotte. Smart also expressed Tuesday that Erickson has looked good since coming back. As far as Washington Smith, Coach Kirby told reporters on Monday that the two are both moving around after undergoing surgery to repair foot injuries and a couple of weeks ago. Although we hope we are wrong, we expect both to miss week 1. Here's an update. Georgia injury hitting up at the Clemson. Warren is part. The center of Warren Erickson is probable. That's some big hits for Georgia right there on the injury front before this big game here. So if you look at some of the issues that we're looking at in this game here, what are we going to see here? First game jitters by both quarterbacks going to be first game jitters. It's going to be a lot of filling out process in the first and second quarter. We probably see a little bit coming on in the third, and hopefully by the fourth there'll be a little bit in sync, and this will be a pretty good game. I think this is going to be a close game than everybody thought. I think, to me, right now, I have Georgia probably upsetting Clemson here. You're not really upset with number 5, number 3, but I think Georgia could win this game. I think it's going to be 38-35 is the final score of this ball game. So if you look at that direction there, then you're looking at what we're expecting here for our top 5 team game. It's a national championship atmosphere in Charlotte, North Carolina, neutral site. So it's more. We know the history of the losers of this game. So which team? Well, we know that Clemson is better suited if they lose this game because they can run the ACC and still have a 1 loss and still have a chance to get into the playoffs. Georgia, on the other hand, has a tougher schedule ahead of them in the SEC with Auburn and Florida waiting in the wings. If they lose this game, they have to run a gauntlet against the SEC, and that means going all the way into the SEC championship, and you're probably meeting Alabama in that SEC championship, and that's going to be a daunting task too, getting past a program like Alabama who's been down in Penn State game. We went through the number 21, number 23 game, and Texas and Louisiana game. We're now going to move into another top 15 team will be number 1 Alabama versus number 14 Miami and Atlanta at the new Atlanta Stadium in there. So we're going to go ahead and, all due respect, we're going to go ahead and move into the Alabama and Miami game. We know about the history about Georgia State, the Georgia stuff. We're going to go and break down the Miami here on this game. What are we going to see in this game? What we're going to watch out for this game here is it's going to be a lot of nuance in this game. We know that Alabama is going to be highly favored over Miami. We know Alabama is a juggernaut team. They're always going to be a juggernaut team under Nick Saban. Nick Saban's been a great head coach at Alabama. He's been a head coach all the way through his coaching career. Stinson, Michigan State. Won the national championship at LSU, went to Miami, down in the Dolphin area, Miami Dolphins in the NFL, when they came back and grabbed the coach of Alabama and grabbed reins at Alabama and made Alabama back to a juggernaut team. Miami season opener against Alabama is finally upon us. The number 14 Hurricanes will have a value chance to gauge where they stand as a program during a week 1 matchup against number 1 Crimson Tide of Alabama, a program that has been consistently excellent for the past 12 years. Miami trails the all-time series against the Crimson Tide by a margin of 14-3. The two teams have not met since 1993 Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, which was won by Alabama 34-13. University of Miami is opening the season with a neutral site game for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. Miami opened up the 2018 game against LSU at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, and opened up 2019 versus Florida at the Camp World Stadium in Orlando. The Hurricanes lost both of those games. The last time University of Miami opened up the season against a national top-ranked team, Miami blasted in the past number 1 ranked at the time Florida State 31-0 to kick off the 1988 at the Orange Bowl season. On the other side of the field will be the Alabama Crimson Tide, and the accolades of the program has massive under the leadership of head coach Nick Saban are impressive. Alabama has been the dominant in season's opener. Under Saban, the Tide is perfect, 14-0 under Saban, has won in an impressive fashion. Alabama has outscored its opponent 566 to 163 in those games, and has outgained the opponents 6,157 to 3,007. That's very impressive right there by Alabama and what they're stacking up as the Tide. The Tide has averaged 40.4 points per game opening contest under Nick Saban and given up just 11.6 points per game. The game will be played at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Alabama boasts a 15-1 record in games played in Atlanta since head coach Nick Saban arrived in Tuscaloosa, and including 14 straight wins. Under Saban, the Crimson Tide is 26-6 as a .813 in neutral site games. Clemson Tide is 66-17.795 against the Associated Press top 25 since the start of the 2008 season. Alabama has finished 6-0 against the top 25 teams in the 2020 season. The latest betting line by Caesars book has Miami Hurricane has a 19.5 points underdog as early as of Friday. This was as of Friday from the Caesars Book Palace. If you're a betting man here, or a betting person. How do Miami and Alabama match up into the 2021 season? This is going to be good. What we're going to see, this is what we got to see. The Miami pass attack against Alabama pass defense. Can Miami press the offense, take the steps next to being more explosive outfit in the second year of Rhett Lashlee's and DeQuick King duo? So that's going to be a question here. King came back to college to try to win. He transferred out to Houston. Now he played in Miami. We've seen what he did the last game of the season against North Carolina. He put up some good numbers until he got injured. They were in that game until he got injured. we don't want to see people get injured here. You know that's very unsportsmanlike and stuff like that. We hope everybody stays healthy this season. We know football is a grueling sport. The Hurricanes took a nice step forward with their passing game in 2020, averaging 277 yards per game through the air and tossing 26 total touchdowns. The next step from University of Miami's passing offenses in 2020-21 can be more consistent play out of the outside wide receiver, generate explosive plays downfield, more consistency. Despite returning 2020 starters in Mark Pope and D. Wiggs, Miami will feature a new duo on the outside with the addition of Oklahoma Carson Rambo and emerging of second-year freshman Keon Smith. Miami's offensive line will be more of a prototype bunch in terms of body types and will feature one of the best left tackles in the ACC, Zion Nelson. UM's line, the Hurricanes line, took big steps towards 2020 and understood the second year under Coach Garden Justice, and there is a reason to be optimistic about the group improving once again. Alabama's pass defense starts with the dominant edge rushing duo of Will Anderson and Christopher Allen, which combines for 96 quarterback pressures and 13 sacks. UM will have their hands full with Anderson, in particular, who is a game wrecker. So that's going to be a thing to watch right there. It's going to be Willie Nelson and Christopher Allen. You know, the dominant edge rush duos for Alabama, which they combine for 96 quarterback pressures and 13 sacks. UM will have their hands full, and Anderson is particular, who is a game wrecker. On the back end, the Crimson Tide features the NFL draft pick in corners Josh Jobe, Malachi Moore, and Brian Branch, along with safety Jordan Battles and DeMarco Halzam and Daniel Wright. Alabama's pass defense was pretty young and inexperienced in 2020. That isn't the case in 2021, which above secondary players all play at least 290 snaps, with 4 of the players totaling at least 450 defensive snaps. This is the one spot in the secondary for Miami who tries to test the opposing outside corner spots from Joe, with Jalen Armour Davis set to make their first start as a 4-year player that has 92 defensive snaps of experience. Alabama's going into the game. You have to give the edge on paper to the Crimson Tide. Can the Hurricanes change the feelings with their performance on Saturday? If the Hurricanes can make a couple plays downfield and win some contest catch situation, this game is going to be more competitive than what people expect. Now, this is what we're going to see here. This is where we're going to see the rush defense of Miami and the rush defense of Alabama, with the Hurricanes to be better at getting consistent impact, push up front while limiting the amount of negative plays in the run game in 2021. That's going to be the key for Miami. Can they get that running game going instead of doing all the negative plays on their running game? They have to get the running game going north and south, not east and west, because Alabama's pretty fast on the defensive side. So you got to understand the concept. You want to get your running backs downhill quickly, not run side to side against Alabama. Alabama wants to force you side to side. If they get you side to side, Alabama's going to win that defense 9 times out of 10 on your rushing attack. Miami total 162 yards rushing in 2020, which was a big step forward from the previous years, but consistently was missed in the phase, with the Hurricanes allowing nearly 8 tackles for loss per game, which was one of the worst marks in the Power 5 level. The biggest reason for optimism up front is the addition of big, strong guards, Navon Donaldson and Jalen Rivers, who are both at 6'5", 325 pounds, and figures to provide more of a push. If that push is there, it will be veteran back Cam Rollin Harris that is looking to find the rushing lanes after totaling 643 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns in 2020. He carried the ball 126 times last year and figured to be closer to 200 carry marks in 2021. If he shows he can produce with opportunity, the backup running back, Daniel Carey Jr., is a talented second-year player and has an impressive combination of size and speed as well. There is no way to describe Alabama's run defense going into 2021. It's called salty. They call it salty. There is going to be salty. Crimson Tide are perfectly built to handle any rushing attack with 2 deep of bigs. Physical interior linemen, outside linebackers that can run and set the edge, and arguably the best inside linebacker tandem in Christian Harris and Henry Togo, T-O apostrophe O-T-O apostrophe O. That's going to be an interesting name to watch the announcers produce today. The linebacker units is the best in the country, and it isn't close. Alabama is going to be hard to ignore for the elite personnel that the Crimson Tide will feature in the front seven. There isn't more talent in the front seven nationally on paper going into 2021 college football season. Miami needs to do at least present a run threat game. Let me repeat that. Miami needs to at least present of a running threat in this game. If they don't present a running game, guess what's going to happen? Alabama's going to start teeing off on you, and that's going to put you in will or hurt. That's going to put you in your quarterback in a will or hurt, to risking injuries to the quarterback, putting your quarterback down. But one thing that Miami's quarterback has, he can run the ball too. So that's going to alleviate some of the pressure right there, because you got to, and when you rush him, you got to be patient. You got to run your lanes, and you got to corral him. So what you want to do to corral him is not letting him have an escape route. So what your defensive ends need to do is rush up the field, but take an angle where you're coming up the field more, and then you're meeting at a certain peg, because he comes back. If he rolls out this way, you got him here with no cutbacks. Hopefully you got your inside guys on the inside and making some free, so when he comes back to the inside, you have help. That's going to be the key. If you let him run to the outside, you have no help. So what you need a defensive end needs to do is have him cut down inside of you. If he cuts down inside, you're hoping your tackles, your defensive, your linemen are already broke free to clean up the hits. So you have help inside. If he gets to the outside, that's going to be well of hurt, because your corners are running downfield with the receivers. And if you're man-to-man, your corners and backs are turned, and then boom, your quarterback's got out. So that's going to be the question. In the pass rush, you got to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined. You have to know your assignments and know how to rush upfield and prevent him not escaping to the outside. Have him escape to the inside because you have better chances that your tackles can clean up King on the inside, on them cutting inside. And that's going to be the key there. For your ends, got to rush up, but you can take a sharp rush. If you take a sharp rush, you got it to the outside, and then that's going to leave some holes, and it's going to leave your linebackers if they're not flowing correctly into that spot. So basically what you want to do is your defensive ends rush up, force them inside where your help is, and you're hoping you had your help there to clean them up. So that's going to be the thing on that. Miami, like I said, the emphasis here is Miami needs to present a rushing attack against Alabama. If you can do that, then you can upset some stuff. What is Alabama going to do against Miami's defense? Let's turn this around now onto the Alabama's offense here. And we got to move quickly here to Mac Jones is gone. Mac Jones, Tagovailoa was there. Hurts was there. Now it is Bryce Young who's going to step in. How quickly can Bryce Young produce at a high level during his first season at a college level? That is the question we have. What will determine the competitive of this game? Is there a little doubt that Young will produce a quarterback for the Crimson Tide this season? But can he do it in game one against a big-time Miami team who's ranked number 14th in the nation? That's one key question that Alabama's going to have to answer. Even though they're a juggernaut team, they still got to answer that one question. Do they have a replacement for Mac Jones from last year's quarterback of the national championship team? Young was the number one quarterback recruit in the country in 2020. Sometimes the number one recruits don't turn out to be the number one recruits. You know, you got to understand the thing. You know, a lot of bodies gone from that offense. Yes, Mike, a lot of truth. A lot of bodies have gone from that offense, but you got to understand, you're talking about Alabama, who doesn't when they lose bodies, they just reload because that's how that program is they have people in the waiting. They have people redshirt waiting. They are very talented in that backup group, but can they produce? That's the thing. This is the thing that we got to see here. The quarterback situations got to improve. Can they improve that? The question Manny Diaz will try to force Young to answer as a play caller on defense in this game. Manny Diaz's defense is very versatile. It's very can put schemes in that he hasn't seen yet. And usually that's going to take a couple quarters for that young quarterback to realize what they're doing, and Nick Saban getting in his ear and say, hey, or the offensive coordinator. And that's another key too, the offensive coordinator. And he's no longer there. He's in Texas as the head coach. So what's the new offensive coordinator is going to do? First thing is he's got to earn the trust of Nick Saban. So Nick Saban's going to probably be calling most of the plays. He's going to be micromanaging the offensive coordinator. That's what Nick Saban does. That's what the great coaches do. He'll meet over the thing. He'll cut the playbook in half a little bit till the quarterback gets comfortable with what they're running. How does the young handle adversities? What type of poise does he will show under the pressure? The saying can be said quite frankly about Alabama's starting offensive line. Is there a ton of talent? But there are new faces at different positions. Left tackle Evan Neal is the best player at that position in the country. And right guard Emil Ekwar has proven to be one of the best interior offensive linemen in the SEC. But the rest of the offensive line will be stepping up into new roles. Though Miami will likely look to test their continuity in the first game. So you might see Miami blitz a lot. You know, they can run some combination blitz on them. You know, some of these linemen don't understand combination blitz. When you first come in, they have to see that. So they can run combination blitzes. They can run stunts up front. You know, the tackle can move a certain way. There's a lot of stuff you can confuse these offensive line. They got to have a better read. They got to have the center's going to have to call out the snap, have to call out the reads. The quarterback's got to figure out the Mike linebacker. That's what a new quarterback got to do. He's got to learn what the Mike linebacker is going to do. They flow off the Mike linebacker. It always happens. The Mike linebacker is the key. If the Mike linebacker doesn't tip his hand, it can fool some of the young quarterbacks' reads, mix up some of the new offensive linemen's, cadence, calling out who to protect, pass protection or run block protection. They might it could call the wrong one. Alabama added Ohio State transfer Jason Simonson Williams to try and get more downfield speed out on the outside. Freshman receiver JoJo Earl is a young player to keep an eye on because of explosive speed. He can bring to the field out of the slot. They have Davon Smith last year. They got to replace him. They got to replace Waddle. Waddle was a speedster and he got injured halfway through the season, but he was the special team guy. He's fast wide receiver, so they got some replacement there. Can freshman receiver JoJo Earl earn the young play? Keep his eye on. Clemson Tides, Alabama wide receiver group wouldn't be as strong as if they have featured in recent years, but it's still a very talented bunch. You got to understand that. The success of Miami's pass defense always start up front. Is there a star on the defensive line that's going to go in 2021 soon? Probably not, but the group is deeper than it was a year ago, and the Hurricanes believe they have the fresh bodies on the defensive line that can help the group just be a productive. You got Jabari Hari, Chazez Williams are athletic, twitch up players off the edge, and while Zach McLeod and DeAndre Johnson will be crafty linemen that will win with changing the speed and hand-to-hand combat. But, you're playing against Alabama. Alabama's got some big offensive linemen. They got big beef up the front. Can they push the wells on the Miami defense? That's going to be a big question here. You look at Alabama's offensive personnel at some skill spots. DJ Ivy appears to have taken a step forward in the development. Corey Couch continues to show that is Miami's best covered corner. The addition of Tyreek Stevenson gives the Hurricanes a versatile piece that can line up in a lot of different spots in the secondary. The safety tandem of Bubba Bolden and Garvin Hall can be solid, with Bolden having some playmaking ability. So they got some key playmaking abilities there. The phase of the game is unknown for Alabama's offense going into the season over. The Crimson Tides will be featuring plenty of new personnel and a new coach on the offense side of the ball. And the Hurricanes will look to disrupt things as the players and coaches settled into their new roles. If Alabama's passing game hits its stride in this game, it will be a long day for Miami. The Hurricanes group in the secondary is big and physical, but speed could be a concern against speedy Alabama's features. What is the Alabama running game going to look against Miami's rush defense? The Crimson Tide has a massive reasons to be optimistic, and that is phase of the game we got to talk about. The reason left tackle, even Neal, who is 6'7", 350 pounds, a freak athlete for his size, that can lead the way for the rush attack. Alabama recruits big, strong, and fast for their size linemen. Year after year, they are built to excel in the run game. At the running back position, Crimson Tides will have committee approach that will be led by veteran Brian Robertson, who has an impressive size and power at 6'1" and 228 pounds. Robinson has a run for 1,361 yards and 15 touchdowns during Alabama's career. Young's backs like Jace McKellen and Trey Sanders also figure to be a healthy involved as well. It should be also noted that the quarterback Bryce Young is a rushing threat. That's something that Alabama ain't had in a while, is a rushing threat, and needs to be accurate for particularly as a scrambler. Miami's run defense is huge, question mark, after falling 174 yards on the ground per game in 2020. The low point of the season was when the Hurricanes allowed 544 rushing yards against North Carolina when the two running him and Williams and Carter. The Hurricanes will have to be more around their fun run fits against Alabama compared to North Carolina's game. The personnel is different, and linebacker going into the season with the Hurricanes feature Corey Flagg at middle linebacker and former safety Karan Smith, a weak side linebacker. Coach Manny Diaz will tell you the speed of the defense has improved since 2020. Diaz is also high on Miami's defensive tackle play during the preseason. Veterans John Ford and Jordan Miller represents a big body run stoppers. The Crimson Tide has to replace star running back Najee Harris. Another prime example. Najee Harris got to be, who's going to replace him? Do they have somebody waiting to replace him? And we know how big Alabama running backs are in their running game. That's going to be a lot of questions here. How about special teams? Special teams can play a big factor in this game too. You know, we got to look at all aspects of Miami. It's got to be there. The special teams got to be there. When you play a juggernaut like Alabama, you got to have special team wins. Miami will once again feature one of the best specialist duos in the country in 2021 between punter Lou Henley and kicker Andres Borgels. Receiver Mike Harley and Xavier Respro will handle the kick return duties, while cornerback Tyrese Stevenson enters the first game as a top punt returner. Miami needs to get more out of the return game in 2021. The kicker Willie Richard enters the 2021 season as one of the best in the country after not missing any attempts in 2020. Alabama's punter is a bit unknown, with the Australian native James Burnham, who is 6'6", hailing those duties for the Crimson Tide. Alabama returners will be exposed to newcomer Jameson Williams and JoJo Earl. Even when entering the games, believing Miami has the edge at the special team spots with Lou Henley and Andres Borgels, while Alabama has the edge in the return game featuring Burners and JoJo Earl and James Williams. So the special team is going to be a big play for Miami. They're going to have to make sure they don't get the big returns by JoJo Earl and Jameson Williams. What the X factor is going to be? Left tackle here. We're going to look at the X factor. Left tackle, Zion Mills, who is recently playing for the first round pick on the offseason. Buzz from NFL draft experts this season. Whether or not it is deserved, it can be DB up to this point, but Nelson will have big opportunities to make a statement with his play this Saturday against Alabama edge rusher Will Anderson. There are two premier edge rushers going into the 2021 season: Oregon Kayvon and Darrell Baggs and Anderson. As a true freshman 2020, Anderson was even down player that totaled 10.5 total loss, even 7 sacks, and as soon as saved that he will be taking this game to another level in the second year in 2021. Nelson has been an impressive, trajectory improved since making his college debut as an undersized true freshman at the starting left tackle against Florida in 2019. Nelson is an impressive athletic offensive tackle, and he has continued to clean up his technique. So that's going to be a big play right there for that. Now we're looking at the coaching matchup. Alabama Nick Saban and Pete Golden going up against Ray Lashley. Lashley has been, the coaching staff has been competitive against and won games Nick Saban's led defense. Lashley knows what it takes to give Crimson Tide's issue protecting the ball, protecting the football, and featuring the quarterback that is a threat with his arms and legs. Lashley has also shown the ability to scheme skill players for wide open explosion touchdowns when Miami offense starts playing with some tempo. What wrinkles does Lashley have up his sleeve? Alabama's defense is on Saturday. There is no deny that Alabama's defense has the edge and pure talent, so that means it's going to up to the offensive coaching staff of Miami to try to scheme up things that can make up for a differential. Lashley has had all offense to come up with some all season come up with some ideas. Crystal Stock, is it hard to overlook Miami fears against two best opponents last year, falling 42-17 to Clemson, 62-26 to North Carolina? Hurricanes are not competitive in and then expected them to flip the switch, beat the defending national championship, who loaded defense and stuff. So, I looked at all the projection, all the scoring prediction that some of these people are saying. Some people are saying Alabama 38-17, Alabama 31-20, Alabama 38-28. I think it's going to be close. One or two things is going to have to happen. Miami's got to present a threat of a running game. Miami's special teams got to be effective. Miami's defense has got to try to shut down and make a one-dimensional team of Alabama. Make the young quarterback throw the ball down the field. Maybe he'll make some mistakes and give you some life. If Miami can do all that and stay in the game all the way up to the third quarter, that's going to put a lot more pressure on Alabama, because Alabama's going to think they're going to go in there and steamroll Miami, by halftime and probably be out of reach, and they can coast the next 2 quarters. But if this is a game, the pressure will be on the young players on the offensive side of Alabama, and Young at the quarterback, and the replacement of Najee Harris's replacement and the running back. And then you got the replacement of Devon Smith and Waddle out on the edge. So we're going to see this is a totally different Alabama's offense. A little bit, some pieces back from the defense, missing a lot of pieces from the defense too, but you still got some key players. One of the best front seven in college football on paper. That's why we play these games. If you look at the paper, Alabama's going to destroy Miami. But we play the games on the field, and that's what matters. And this is how the players schemes and stuff like that. So if you look at it this way here, but I'm going with my final prediction. I'm going with the best bet of here. I think Alabama's going to win. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think it's going to be 38. I think Miami will score at least 21 points in this ball game. So I have Alabama winning 38-21 in this ball game. So we have 8 minutes leading up to countdown. I do want to go over one more game here, but I do want to get one more commercial break in here from our Fox D network, who's given us All Sports All Play network. It's given us a TV platform to present our materials on their TV platforms. We also live on the All Sports All Play Facebook page and website. We got all that information there on the screen down the streaming. We'll be taking those off here for a moment, so we get the we can go ahead and get the commercial and the brand start playing here. I want to interrupt their commercials and stuff like that. So, all due respect, here we go. I'll be right back, and I got a special one for you, Nate, when we get back on the Ray Sports Network.
This is the Fox D Streaming Network. Register to come on our channel at foxdnetwork.com.
Well. We're welcome back to the Ray Sports Show here. We're now less than we're about 6 minutes away for kickoff here. We got you set up for the big games tonight. We got everything big covered for you here on the Ray Sports Show here. We talked about the Alabama. We just got finished talking about the Alabama-Miami game. We talked about the Georgia game. We're talking about certain other games here and stuff like that. I'm trying to find one more note here for our, for one of our analysts here. He's a big fan. He has friends that went to this school here that we're about to bring up here in a minute here. So I might give it away a little bit here, but I do want to bring it up to him. He most college, most pregame shows don't even really talk about him as much, but I'm going to go ahead and we got 5 minutes away. We're less than 5 minutes away here for kickoff. I don't want to interrupt the kickoffs here, but I wanted to go ahead and bring this one up. How about the BYU Brigham Young versus Arizona football today? This game, BYU sustained momentum for his best season in 2 decades. That's the question for facing the Cougars when they opened the 2021 season against Arizona in the Las Vegas on Saturday night. BYU finished 11-1 record and a number 11 ranking in the AP Top 25 a year ago. the best record and the highest end of the season ranking for the Cougars since 1996. Now BYU will have to provide it can keep things rolling even while breaking a new starting quarterback, replacing several offensive linemen, blending in a multiple new starter on the defensive line and secondary. If the Cougars can fill those holes, and they have a chance to navigate a considerably tougher schedule with success. Arizona is going to go through many new changes of its own. The Wildcats have a new head coach and Jedd Fisch at the helm and entered the season riding a 12-game losing streak, extending back to 2019. It will take its major retooling of the defense to lift Arizona out of the cellar. But the Wildcats finished last season total defense in the Pac-12. Each of the previous 2 seasons have ranked 10 or lower in that category 6 out of the last 7 years. Arizona holds a 12 wins, 11 losses, 1 tie lead over BYU in the all-time series. However, the Cougars are 2-0 against the Wildcats under Kylie Stein, winning the 2016 season over and again in 2018 season. The kickoff is tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 Pacific Time, and 9:30 Central Time at Alliance Stadium in Las Vegas. ESPN TV will cover ESPN. They predict BYU by 11.5 favorite. When BYU replacing a quarterback as good as Zach Wilson is never a simple task. Still, the Cougars are pretty confident about what his successor, Jaren Hall, can do. Hall won the starting job in fall camp, beating now Baylor Romney and Jacob Cover, and he hasn't have a strong or of an arm as Wilson, but he's more mobile and can keep alive with his legs. Hall is also an accurate passer. He threw for 420 yards and a touchdown while completing 67% of his passes as Wilson's primary backup in 2019 before injuries ended his season. An experienced backfield will make a transition from Wilson to Hall smoother. Tyler Algier enjoys a breakout season a year ago by rushing for 1,130 yards and 13 touchdowns and 150 carries. Lapa Kotua gives the Cougars a solid runner and a pass catcher. Completes Algier and coded 737 all-purpose yards and 8 touchdowns. Last season, Hall also proven to be a receiver gunner. Neil Pau, Washington transfer, Paco Nuga, Utah transfer, and Samson Nuga and Isaac Rex also will help open things up downfield. Arizona hits the transfer portal to fill some holes at linebackers. Even the secondary, whether it pays dividends remains to be seen. The Wildcats could not stop any opponent from running on them last season, giving up 270 yards, 0.6 per game on the ground. That's good news. That's good news for BYU's offense because it's more capable of moving the ball, moving the chains in the running game. The Wildcats are taking unusual steps of rotating quarterbacks against BYU. Gunnar Cruz and Will Palmer will both be seeing snaps behind center Cruz and will start against the Cougars, the plan is for Palmer to rotate with Washington State transfer throughout the game in a platoon system. Palmer struggled last season, his first season at Arizona, throwing 388 yards, 3 interceptions while competing only 50% of his passes. Cruz played only 1 game for Washington State last season and completed 5 of 7 passes with 34 yards and a touchdown. But the running the ball will be a bigger point of emphasis, and certainly at the quarterback, Michael Wally has the potential to be a game changer with a bigger role in the offense. Wally averages 7 yards per carry on just 31 carries last season. And Northwestern transfer Drake Anderson will also be a factor in the backfield. Anderson led the previous team in rushing 2019, totaling 634 yards and 3 touchdowns. He totaled 926 rushes, 5 touchdowns over the last 3 seasons in Northwestern. BYU is rebuilding in spots of the defense, but the Cougars returned plenty of experienced players for that unit. That was ranked number 10 nationally, total defense 317 yards per game in 2020. One weakness BYU using enabled to consistently pressure the quarterback. It will fall on either Cruz or Plummer to use that extra time in the pocket to their advantage. BYU is 4-1 openers under Stacky. 2 of those victories have come over better Arizona teams than this one, even with so much loss. Protection of last season, the Cougars are the superior team in both sides of the football. And I predict, Nate, this is for you. I predict BYU 31, Arizona 20. BYU wins. This is all for the Ray Sports Show. Have a good day. And college football is now started. And you can listen to me again next Saturday on the Ray Sports Show, the College Prairie College Game Show on the All Sports Play Network and the Fox D. Good night. And then I will let you know if I can get my higher up. So let me do a broadcast tomorrow night before the Notre Dame Florida State game. And I will, at that on that broadcast, I will do the Monday night game also. So stay tuned. Have a good day. Enjoy college football. Football is back in the air. Send me your tailgate pictures. I want them so I can put them on the show for our tailgate segment. You can send them to the Ray Sports Show at gmail.com, or you can send it to the All Plates All Sports Network, or you can instant message me. If you do have Google Drive, you can. If you have videos, that's the way you can put the videos on there, and I can bring them onto the show. So have a good day.
You don't want none! You don't want none!
LP's Brick Squad. LP's Brick Squad.
Now, boys, ready?
Roll, boy.
You know.